Unpretentious, those early places. Some were famous, some were not, and some we'll never forget. But down on Broad, by where the new legends live, they're building a new place for the Flyers and Sixers, with steel and stone and memories and a lot of hometown pride. And we're proud to say our name will be on it, because this has always been our hometown, too.
And there's the view of the 1995 Core Stage US Professional Cycling Championship and the field. Well, they were all together when we went to break, but we think there is about 20 or 40 riders and now trying to go clear after the climb of the wall. And we'll ID any of the leaders as quickly as we can when we get down to Scott Ogle on his motorbike, and there he is, and I can see Bobby Julich is in there, and the attacks are coming thick and fast now. At this stretch of the course, they pick up a tailwind, and now you may think that's the chance for a rest. But if you pick up a tailwind in a top professional bike race, it really does get very hard indeed. And one man who knows all about it, in fact, he rode a little bit of the course yesterday, is the manager of the Motorola team, Jim Okovich. Jim, are we in touch? It's Phil here.
I'm here, Phil.
Jim, so listen, the tactics so far of Motorola have worked. You brought this race back together. Now, what's plan B?
Well, plan B is to make the race a little harder now and try to break it up into some groups, keep the race active, and again, just trying to push the race out of the finish.
And the riders, Jim, you have to have a little bit of concern, because you have 3 or 4 Americans in the squad who probably all want to be the American champion by the end of the day. In your meeting last night, did you make any decision as to which one would take the title if they got the chance?
Well, we did, but I don't want to tell you that, Phil.
Well, the riders can't hear us now, Jim.
No, we have a good game plan, and I think up to the moment it's worked right on the money for us, and I think that we're going to just carry our initial tactics from last night all the way through into the end of the race today.
And riders in the race that you are still worried about on rival teams?
I think you got to look at Bart Bowen. You've got to look at Steve Hague. They're riding well right now. Norm Alvis, Brian Walton. I think those are your primary players at the moment.
Well, you can't probably see our... Oh, yes, you can, Jim. I think you had a television set moved into your car, didn't you, today?
Sure do.
So you can see all of our pictures on Channel 10.
Yeah, but they're not going quite as fast as we were going yesterday here, Phil.
Oh, that's true. We went out for a ride, didn't we, Jim? Yeah, but you were a bit better than me, but you always were. But right now, as you can see from your pictures there, Jim, there's a lot of attacking being put in at the front by other team riders.
Yeah, that's okay. As long as it's making the race hard, we'll follow that. We'll work with it. We want to keep the race aggressive.
That's terrific. Thanks a lot, Jim. And we might come back to you a little later on if things keep swinging Motorola's way. Right now, it really is anybody's race here, because Motorola have done the job and closed down the big pack. But there are still a lot of riders here, John, who feel that it might be in their favor.
A lot of very strong riders left, and you're seeing some attempts by the smaller teams, as we call them, to see if there are any chinks in the Motorola armor. Okay, if you're new to the race, what happened was Eddie Gregas, brave rider from Montgomery Bell, long solo breakaway, 10 minutes. There we are, had the lead for the first 6.5 laps. The Motorola finally started the chase, caught him, closed almost 8 minutes on him. That exhausted, had to take some of the feathers out of the Motorola team, if you will. And now that they're all back together, the other teams are saying, hey, these guys have chased, they must be tired, let's see if they got anything left. Gaggioli went on the attack from Gutless Gourmet. Here's a Swiss rider, I believe that's Daniel Hirst out of Switzerland, including an Italian. Who is that? Is that Gaggioli? That's Roberto Gaggioli, 1988 winner of this race, a man on super condition who won the 1995 First Junior Grand Prix in Atlanta. He's 32 years old. He's from Vinci, Italy. As we say, he's the second most famous person to ever come out of Vinci. Leonardo having been the first. Every 500 years, they have somebody famous that comes out of a little town. You know, the old world.
That's a good one, Joe. That's a great one. Well, Gaggioli...
Is that a true story? Now,
absolutely.
Leonardo di Vinci. That's right.
He lives right below Leonardo's house.
Okay.
In Vinci. Roberto Da Vinci.
And in fact, his cousin is riding today, Bobby Bowen. I'm sorry, I've got my Gaggiolis mixed up. I'm talking about Bobby Bowen and Bart Bowen now, so we'll scrap that one, John. We'll stay with the two leaders just now, but you're right about Gaggioli. Now, this is a sprinter, a rider who normally leaves it to the finish, and yet here we're seeing him on the attack, and that says a lot for him. He must feel good.
He's strong, he's tenacious, he's tough, and he's also wants the race to come down to a small groove. Roberto's best if he can beat maybe... Oh, that was Jean-Pierre Delphis, so stand corrected, number 132, Jean-Pierre Delphis, a Frenchman riding on the Swiss team. The Univag is a Swiss software, and they are trying to open up the race, see what that can be done, see if they can get away, see if other riders will come up to them, or indeed if the Motorola's might say, hey, I'm pretty tired, we've done chasing, we're going to let someone take up the chase. A nice tentative move on the part of these two. We'll see what happens.
Well, the Swiss rider hasn't performed that well during his sojourn here over these last 5 weeks in the United States, but you know, every dog does have his day, and today may be his, because there is a major prize list here at the finish, $25,000 for the winner. Two riders in the lead, the pack are just behind them. Motorola, are they still in control? We'll find out soon.
As the fastest member of the Saturn cycling team, I kind of set the pace. The thing is, I can go all day without getting tired. Rain, sleet, heat, it makes no difference to me. Let's go, guys, up here. Personally, I can't get enough hills. Some days, I actually search them out. I don't know what it is, but I always feel great after a long ride.
Crisp, clean, less sweet, with a golden tint and a sparkling flavor. Canada Dry Ginger Ale. Out and out refreshment.
Enter to win an out-and-out getaway at Gennardi's, where Canada Dry 2 liters are on special.
Can I help you?
Yeah, Coors Light, please.
In the Colorado Rocky Mountain High, I've seen it rain and fire in the sky. Shadow from the starlight, softer than a lullaby. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Rocky Mountain High.
At Acura, we know our consumers are intelligent, sophisticated, so we don't need to do anything sneaky or subliminal to get our point across. I can simply tell you, Acura is offering 2.9% financing on the entire line of 1995 Integra automobiles. Besides, it's not as if those subliminal things actually work. Own an Integra with just 2.9% financing at your Greater Philadelphia Acura dealer.
And welcome back, and the field is now on Lemon Hill, and it looks to me as though it's grown in size yet again. We still have, as far as we know, the two riders out front, Jean-Pierre Delphis of Switzerland and Roberto Gaggioli of Italy, but really, he's almost an American these days. He's loved his racing here over the years. In fact, Gaggioli turned professional back in 1985, and since then he's just short of 100 wins as a pro. And that contrast, by the way, John, with Jean-Pierre Delphis, a pro for 2 years, he hasn't won a race.
Some guys win the races, some guys don't, but they all have their place in the professional peloton.
Yep.
They're out in front, making the race tough. We'll have to get a closer view. Then our helicopter view. Now that hey, it's no surprise, Motorola rider, everything's changed. Reshuffled the cards, Phil Liggett.
Indeed, they have. So they must have pulled them back, I think. We're looking at Saturn still trying to get onto the attack here, and not so much. Chevrolet LA Sheriff is trying to go, and this is Scott Moniger, who is a great rider and is still very much in the hunt. It's a very interesting team, the Chevrolet LA Sheriff team, as we're about to find out.
The 90s began with the Chevrolet LA Sheriff as a team like a lot of new teams this year, opening eyes with a domestic bunch of bikers. The decade began with Sheriff Kurt Stockton placing 4th in 91 after taking home the U.S. champion's jersey in 1990.
And the salute goes up for the champion of the United States, Steve Hegg.
1994, Steve Hegg's 4th was good enough again to bring the red, white, and blue back to L.A.
They just can compete with the Chevys, you know. I mean, what can you say? Every team has their day, and, you know, ours is definitely coming around.
Could today be that day? Will the Chevy shine?
Our team looks fantastic for Court States. I mean, we have 9 super strong guys. With the return of Andre Merziewski.
There's Merziewski, who placed 2nd at Court States in 92, joined the Sheriff, took last year off, and is back with LA today.
Watch out for the hitman.
Along with the addition of Coors Light refugee Scott Moniger, you could say the Sheriff's a lethal weapon.
We really do have a pretty, a pretty loaded gun of riders, and I think that makes it really difficult for some of the other domestic teams because they're really not sure who to watch now because kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. They let it come down to a sprint. Malcolm's obviously one of the fastest guys in this country on a given day. And
You know, I see myself more as an all-rounder with a sprint bias.
If the rest of the Sheriff is the rock, the hard place is a teetoting British icon in the cycling world named Malcolm Elliott. For 8 years, Malcolm Elliott flourished on the European professional circuit, yet happiness still eluded this cycling superstar. At 33, Elliott has hit pay dirt on the beaches of L.A. Winning in the States has become a way of life for Malcolm Elliott. He knows how significant this race is to his U.S. teammates.
This is going to be a tremendous... Elliott in the center now. This is a marvelous ride by Elliott.
In 1993, Elliott flew past the field to win the equivalent of Hegg Stars and Stripes, the white jersey of British pro champion. He wore it with pride.
With pride, yeah. First time in 10 years of trying I've ever won it.
Despite winning a stage at DuPont, Malcolm's customary yellow jersey has been seen far less this year. And although this year he was runner-up for his own nation's jersey he wore so proudly in '94, Elliott will lead the Sheriff to protect Steve Hegg's Stars and Stripes today. Last year we found Elliott at home, albeit on Southern California's shaky ground. Today he seems poised to pass the reins of leadership to the likes of Steve Hegg. Hegg in turn has taken to the role in a rather boisterous manner.
It's not an attitude or anything like that. It's just like, hey, wake up, man. What are you doing over there? You know? We have some people that need to be woken up 2 years ago or last year at the Core State Championship. So I had to, you know, let them know. It's my job as a pro champion. There's no pressure for me to have to perform because I always know I can go back and ride my bike.
Whatever Steve Hegg's job has been in the past, from skiing for the U.S. national team to winning gold and silver medals in the '84 Olympics, the U.S. pro champion rides with red, white, and blue running through his veins.
And there's the field passing through the feed zone again as they move out onto lap number 11. It's lap number 8 of the 10-lap circuit. Remember, we had the 3 little laps out at the beginning there. And Motorola, Sean Yates, and Stephen Swart, and the Latvian member of the team, Arvis Piziks, is in there. So, also in this lead group, which is now grown, there are 95 riders in this group again. Sorry about a little bit of picture interference. It's because these pictures are coming to you live. But down there, following, is the manager of the Chevrolet LA Sheriff team. And I would think he's pretty happy. He's got a few riders in this lead group. Right, Dave Lettieri?
Yeah, it's going okay so far. We haven't had to do any work. You know, Motorola has definitely set the pace. So things are going okay. We bide our time. It's still a long way to go with 40 miles of racing to go.
Now, last year, Steve Haig was a fifth-place finisher, but the first American, which gave him the United States Pro title, and he's worn that jersey with pride all year. And I think he'd be a little bit sorry to lose it, but he has better form, I think, than last year, Dave.
Yeah, the last month he's really come on strong. He's been our best rider over the last couple of races. He won a stage at the West Virginia Classic, and he's riding strong, and he's very hungry. Steve's a big race rider, and he loves to win the big event, and I told him before the race today, hopefully it's the only day he'll have to wear green and yellow is today, and he can be back in Stars and Stripes next week.
Now, do you think that, in fact, he will be able to control all the attacks that are certain to come soon from Motorola? And which of the Motorola's would he watch, do you think?
Well, definitely Lance is going to be the marked man, but they, who knows, they might use Lance as the decoy and set up the race for Frankie or George. So we're going to kind of watch everything. Motorola's team is definitely riding super strong. Our guys have been a little sick over the last couple of weeks, and they're finding some better form today, hopefully. But again, we'll have to see as the race goes on.
All right, Dave. Well, thanks very much. Well, you're in the nice warm comfort of a car there sitting behind the race, but our man Nelson Vales is riding a bike for a few miles at least in the race. So, Nelson, who's alongside you?
This is Ron Keeple here, Phil. You got Phil here on the line. He wants to know how things are going.
Well, it's been a pretty controlled race. I think the tempo is starting to build now. You see the Motorola team up at the front, making the tempo harder and harder. I have a feeling in the next lap or two, the race is really going to start opening up because it's back to square one. It's all evened up. I'm hoping...
After the tunnel.
They have lost you now, Nelson, but thanks for that contact with Ron Keeple, and thanks too to the race referees who allowed Nelson Vales to go in there and interview the riders on the move, because that adds a great dimension. How you do it, Nelson, riding that bike, it amazes me completely, because those who don't know Nelson Vales, by the way, that man won a silver medal in the Los Angeles Olympic Games when he lost in the final to another American, Mark Gorski, who's also here today. But I think he's done tremendously well, John.
Nelson's a real professional in everything he does. He started as a bicycle messenger in New York City.
Oh, he's got no problems out there.
Hey, the most hazardous job in America.
And that's why he became a bike race sprinter. He was probably the fastest messenger in history.
Next to being a hockey goalie, maybe.
Yeah. And he has just been a real professional in his career and has done a lot for the sport all over the place. Now, hey, there's a nice team. That's number 79 of that's John Seaman of the Navigators team, a team from New Jersey, Phil, who last Thursday won the sister race of the Core States Championship, the NJNB, New Jersey National Bank Core States Classic in New Jersey. They're a New Jersey team. Cinderella story. They won their home race, if you will. Great story and a sign of the emerging teams in pro cycling.
You are watching live the U.S. Pro Cycling Championship here on Channel 10, and we will continue.
You know us. We're Core States Bank. But you may not know about our new Core States check card. See? Looks like a credit card. But it's not, because it works like a check, only easier. The amount you spend wherever you see a Visa sign is automatically deducted from your checking account. So there's no bill at the end of the month. Ever. Is that easy or what? Sign up for your Core States check card today. Oh, I forgot. The card that works like a check, only easier.
So, once upon a time, a Volvo 850 Turbo meets a BMW 325i, and the BMW says, I have 189 horsepower. And the Volvo says, that's nice, I have 222. I can do 0 to 60 in 7.8 seconds. And the Volvo says, I can do it in 6.3. So the BMW says, I'm the ultimate. And the Volvo says, really?
See your Philadelphia area Volvo dealers soon. And please, drive safely.
Out of the North Atlantic, a terror awaits, with a force so powerful that some will run and hide, while others hold on and ride. The highest, fastest suspended looping coaster on both coasts is here now, and it's only at Maurice Piers in Wildwood, the Great Nor'easter. Prepare to ride the storm.
The Chevy Lumina minivan, more are sold here than anywhere else in America. Why? Driver's side airbags, four-wheel ABS brakes, dent-proof body panels, modular seating, and more. Right now, you can lease a Lumina minivan for $239 a month. Listen, test drive a Lumina minivan. If you buy a Ford Windstar or a Chrysler minivan, we'll give you $50. No catch, no gimmicks, $50. Get a Lumina minivan for $239 a month at your local Chevy Geo dealers today. Hey, we dare you to compare.
We're back to the live coverage here of the Course States U.S. Pro Cycling Championship. The miles completed, 116.8, 39.8 to go. And Ron Burke, what's going on?
Al, I'm here in one of the many tents that are set up for the race, and in this particular tent, they have set up these bicycle simulators. CompuTrainers are what they're called. It's a system whereby a cyclist can train on the stationary bike. And Phil, let me have you come around and show the screen. It's all hooked up to the screen, and you can simulate a race. If the weather's bad outside, or if you simply want to train inside after a hard day at work, you can do so. And it shows you racing against a competitor. I guess I'm off to a pretty good start. I have with me Roger Young, who's with the Powerade scouting team. And Roger is really into this, and you have a big hand in this whole system. Just explain exactly the thinking behind it and how it benefits a cyclist, Roger.
Well, it truly simulates road race conditions. So we can create the course that the professionals are riding today on a computer, and the riders can ride it year-round. So that's a real benefit for us. But what we're doing is we're scouting for new talent, and the local club in town here, Team Results, is helping us out. So when we find new talent, Team Results is going to grab them. But where we're going to find the talent is on these race simulators.
Now, you said the U.S. Olympic team actually uses this system to look for talent.
Oh, yeah. The U.S. Olympic team is looking for talent for the year 2000, and we're finding it here in Philadelphia. There's some very talented athletes. Hopefully, you know, the local club will be able to help develop them, but also the U.S. cycling team is going to take some part in also developing the very top ones.
You can actually program the Core States race course, including the Manayunk Wall, with this system.
Yeah, we can, but I wouldn't recommend doing the Manayunk Wall, you know, on the street or on the CompuTrainer until you do some training.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much, Roger.
Thank you.
All right, Roger Young of Powerade. I guess I'm doing okay. I know I'm tired. I don't know what the results say, but I am tired. Let's go to an area that's a little more relaxed. Janet Zapala in the pits. Janet?
Ron, you're tired. What about the riders? Come on. I'm here with two local sponsors. You know them, Jay Snyder from the Flyers.
Hi, it's great to be here. Loving it today.
And Rip Scott.
Hi, everybody.
And you're
welcome.
From Scott Bykyle Flyers. Sponsored team.
Correct.
This is a big event for Philadelphia, and it's nice to see you guys involved locally. I mean, This is really what it's all about, huh, Jay?
It is. Rip put this together about 10 years ago. Flyers joined up with his team about 3 years ago. And it's great. We're two local businessmen involved, and we need, you know, we've got our own team. We got somebody from Philadelphia to root for.
That's right. Isn't it, besides the Flyers, isn't it amazing how this race has grown over the years?
Yeah, this is my 11th straight time out here, and 7th as a sponsor, and it's just incredible. It's the biggest one-day event in the city, without question.
We wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you. We'll be up there. Look for Graham Miller at the end, folks. Cheer him up the hill.
And go Flyers Monday night, huh? They're gonna do it Monday night.
Monday night. Stick with us. We're gonna win Monday night. We'll be there.
All right, thanks, guys. And over here we've got Amoroso's. They're a first-year sponsored team, and I've got Ron Ruggiero. He's going to show us how they change a tire when the racers come in. They've got to come in and out real quickly. Here's how it works, folks. I'll hold that for you, Ron. This is something else. I mean, bing-a-da-bang-a-da-boom, and you're done, and he's off. That took all of about, what, 10 seconds. Ron, very good. Here's your wheel. Thanks a lot, and we are here, as we say, in the feed zone, the pit, waiting for the racers to come by. Until they do, we'll throw it back to the announce booth. Guys.
Thank you very much, Jenna. Nice job. And by the way, is there a chance that Graham could win this race, guys? What?
Why not? He was third in 1993. He was fourth last year. And Graham Miller from New Zealand, well, he's on form. So Flyers by name and Flyers by nature. But I'll tell you what, I was very impressed with Ron Burke on that machine, although the readout wasn't too good, John.
Ron's a strong guy. A couple years ago, he actually rode one of the high wheelers, a penny farthing.
Oh, yeah.
One-wheel bicycles. He's a brave man, Ron Burke, to ride one of those.
By the way, Bicycahema and Ron went up the Manayunk Hill on Friday. Ron, you see, is with us. And Vai Sikahema, he's going to work this weekend, but it's under duress. Here we go, and we're continuing now with the live coverage right here on Channel 10. And there's a long way to go. We are 4 hours, 33 minutes, 59 seconds into this race. Be right back.
How long ago was it when they played hockey with no helmets or masks, and basketball with no shot clock, and no team would be caught dead in a color like teal? And how long ago was it all we really needed was one simple loan to take care of everything you really needed? But times have changed, and so have we. Now Core States offers loans to help with everything from a new car to an extended credit line that will help your small business grow bigger. Because some things never change.
The things you charge on your credit card could earn free Sunoco gasoline. Introducing the Sunoco MasterCard with no annual fee. For years, your credit card purchases have fueled the economy. It's time they fueled your car. Call 1-800-4SUNOCO to apply.
As the fastest member of the Saturn cycling team, I kind of set the pace. The thing is, I can go all day without getting tired. Rain, sleet, heat, it makes no difference to me. Let's go, guys, up here. Personally, I can't get enough hills. Some days, I actually search them out. I don't know what it is, but I always feel great after a long ride.
Your savings really add up during Acme store-wide dollar sale. 2-liter Coke, 2 bottles for only $1. Turkey Hill ice cream, 2 half-gallons for just $3. Tasty Cake family packs, only $1. Golden Ripe bananas, 3 pounds for $1. And Lancaster brand bottom round roast, just $1.39 a pound. That's less than half price. Save big on items like these and hundreds more only at Acme.
Check it out, Acme style, check it out.
More bad news for the competition. It's Truck Month at your Quality Plus Ford dealer. During Truck Month, lease a fully loaded Ranger XLT for the unbelievable price of $199 a month for 24 months. Or save over $1,700 on Ford F-150 with an option package that includes air conditioning at no extra charge. Bad to the bone. Also save on Windstar, Aerostar, even Ford Explorer. See your Quality Plus Ford dealer today during Ford Truck Month. But hurry, because it all ends soon.
Channel 10's live coverage of the Core States Championship is sponsored by Acme. Check it out, Acme style, and by your Quality Plus Ford dealer.
And welcome back. We're in the closing stages, but they still have around about 90 minutes to run to the finish of this, the United States Open Professional Championship. And there are some 95 men still surviving right at the head of affairs here. I think we've got Big Ron Keeble trying to stir up a little bit of trouble now and try and get Team Saturn to the front. I wonder if he knows, John, that Clary Hughes for Team Saturn won the Liberty Classic.
I'm sure he'd like to, because it's the whole organization thrives on the team spirit, and the men are just as happy when the women win. It's truly a very well put together organization, this whole Saturn cycling initiative. Right now what we saw was the charge to the base of the Manayunk Wall. We saw a crash in the early parts of the race on the same turn onto Levering Street. This is where the real hostilities are going to happen. Fellows in the back here, they're in trouble in the bike race, because at the front, the Motorola team, Bart Bowen of Saturn, the Italians. There's a sprinter named DeBosco. We haven't seen his nose in the front of the race today. He's still there, following Lance Armstrong everywhere, Danger Man. And this time of Up the Hill will be a real telling point in this 1995 edition of the Core States Championship.
All right, well, we're on to climb at number 8, and John Valeras has seen them all so far. Let's come to you, John.
All right, Al, you can hear the crowd. The cyclists starting to come up. The lower Manayunk Wall Motorola team just whizzing on by now. So they continue to come up as we continue to kind of barbecue here. No, you're not watching the cooking channel. This is Chef Berger Valeras, backed by popular demand. And this is the way to watch the cyclists. Sit back, laid back. You got the Flyers team here. They're chanting right over here. Having a good time. I don't know if they're chanting for the Flyers, but hopefully it's for the Scott Bykyle Flyers racing team. And this is the way to do it. Got a burger thing going here. You got a little sausage here. Look at that. That looks good to watch. What is this? All right. Who wants the sausage? 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 We got the sausage ready right there. We got a doggy right here. Got that? Hold that mic for me. Keep it close. All right. Now we're going to throw it back to the announcers while I continue to do the barbecue thing here, and you continue to view the bicycle race.
John. I tell you, John, are you sure that sausage was dead? Anyway, we're back on the race, and we're now on lap number 8.
He just wrecked their lunch. Can you imagine that? He destroyed them.
Completely ruined the train. Still, it looked like I could smell it from here, and we're about 6-7 miles away. But the riders are on the climb again, and for the riders, we're all having a great time. Somewhere around 750,000 people spread around the 14.4-mile circuit, but this is the epicenter down on the Manayunk Wall. It's where the riders have to really do it all themselves, even though they're in the pack, and it's where everybody really does have a great time. And the legs have just gone there all of a sudden. Nikolai Semenchin, who's riding here for the Colorado Cyclists, but he is in fact a Russian rider, and I think his legs just snapped there as he shot out the back of the field. So that's taken us down to about 94 men in this leading group. And another man we call the ticket collectors, the riders who ride at the back. This is Harry Lodge from Great Britain. He's on the 7 o'clock flight home with me tomorrow night, but I hope, Harry, you win some money so we can have some champagne on the flight. But let's get off the back of the race and move a bit further up, Harry.
Look at how they're all strung out in a single line. You talked about Semenchin's broken legs. I think there are a lot more riders in this race with broken legs, as the Motorola team has quite obviously put the pressure on this time up the Manayunk Wall. We'll get a view from Moto 1 shortly, I'm sure, when we see the sort of damage that has been done by the Motorola team. But this is for all the marbles. These last few times up the hill is when the big guns have to be in the front, when they have to force the pace over the top, down around the streets of Manayunk to the fall from the wall. When we get back down to the bottom, we'll see if there is indeed a split in the field, and there has to be. As we get the view from the stationary camera, there is a group, there is a split. 2 riders off the front of the bunch, 3 riders off the front of the 4 riders off the front of the bunch, followed by a snaking, chasing 100-man field behind them. Let's see who they are as they come around the turn.
Now, this is a move, John. They've been waiting for this. I think it's Brian Walton who's gone through there, or it could have been an Amore Vita, Italian rider. But this is a good move because they've only got, as far as my lap counting goes, another couple of climbs in the Manayunk Wall. And so this is a very serious move, and in fact the Chevrolet LA Sheriffs are trying to put matters to right there. They've got a few men in that chase group, but look at the damage this time. Sooner or later, this elastic is going to snap, and a lot of these riders are not going to rejoin the leaders at the front. Now, it's very difficult for us to catch up with the leaders on this dangerous descent, but as soon as we run off the ridge, we will be alongside those leaders, and we will know who they are. But there are very definitely 4 riders trying to go clear here, and they've done it on pure strength, because at this point in the race now, they are testing each other all of the time.
This is the finale of the race, as they call it, the last part of a professional race. We've had a calm race so far. Eddie Gregas went out on his own, 8-minute lead, was gobbled up at the end by a big field. No surprise there. But now it's the end, and this is the slower they go in the beginning, means they're going to go even faster at the end. And we're 4 riders in front. We'll get their numbers in a minute.
Yeah,
the race has just begun.
These are the chasers. So there are still 4 riders up there. I have a feeling that Lance Armstrong has made that split up there as well. Now, come on, Scott Ogle, our cameraman, let's go for it. I think these are the bravest boys in any cycle race, the men who sit on the cameras. There is the slow-motion effort on the climb of the Manayunk Wall. We'll be back with the new leaders in the race in just a few moments.
Trade in my Honda. Never. I love this car. Best car I've ever owned.
Best car we've ever had.
We'd never trade. Sorry.
Love this car. Sorry,
Not
never
gonna
deal. Look at it. It's perfect. It's in great shape.
Recently, all these Honda owners did something they vowed they'd never do. They traded in their old Hondas, except for the Craigs.
No.
So while everyone else has a new Honda, the Craigs now have 2. The 1995 Accord. If you think your old Honda is worth a lot to you, wait until you see what it's worth to your Honda dealer. Coors Light, the silver bullet. It's shipped cold to preserve the clean taste of the Rockies.
You you know us. We're Core States Bank. But you may not know about our new Core States check card. See? Looks like a credit card. But it's not, because it works like a check, only easier. The amount you spend wherever you see a Visa sign is automatically deducted from your checking account. So there's no bill at the end of the month. Ever. Is that easy or what? Sign up for your Core States check card today. Oh, I forgot. The card that works like a check, only easier.
Bike Line, the nation's largest chain of specialty bicycle stores with over 50 locations, is also the nation's largest Trek dealer. Bike Line features the entire line of Trek bicycles, including kids' bikes, cross bikes, racing bikes, and the hot new mountain bike. Bike Line carries a full line of clothing and accessories and offers expert repairs on all makes of bikes. So stop by any one of Bike Line's tri-state locations today. Bike Line, setting the pace for fitness.
With more shoulder room, more hip room, and more cargo room than a Ford Ranger or Chevy S10, you could say Dodge Dakota is the perfect size for a truck. And when you can get things like air, cast aluminum wheels, and more for as low as $11,286, you could also say this Dakota 4-cylinder is the perfect size truck for your budget. Dodge Dakota. At America's Truck Stop, your friendly Dodge dealer.
And welcome back. The first 6 laps, they've averaged 35. Oh, it's been done rather in 35 minutes and 4 seconds. Lap number 7 is even quicker, 36 minutes and 7 seconds. We have a breakaway out there now, and we believe there are 4 riders. There is the chase group trying to reorganize themselves, but according to my records, and Jim Okovitz is back on the phone. Jim, you've got 2 men in that lead group now, Bobby Julich and Lance Armstrong.
Yeah, well, obviously they put some pressure up on the Manioc this time, and Bobby's doing his work, which he should be doing, and Lance seems strong. I think there was 2 good riders, and we'll see what these guys do and how the field reacts to it.
Well, the people who've missed it, of course, are the Chevrolet LA Sheriff team, so that's going to put the pressure on them, isn't it?
Well, if they want to get in this bike race, that sure looks like something dangerous to me.
Oh, you're a hard man, Jim. Now, what about the sprint of Alessio Dabasco, who's just won a stage in West Virginia, if it comes down to a sprint? He's on the lead at the moment, Jim.
Yeah, we don't worry about that right now.
Too early.
Too early.
Now, you're going to tell me yet who's going to win the U.S. Championship for Motorola? Because you've got 2 men who are both American in this breakaway.
Well, still a long ways to go. We're not making any calls yet.
Yeah, you're ever cautious, Okovitz. I'll come back to you. I'll get you before this race finishes today. Thanks a lot, Jim.
Okay, Phil.
Well, we're looking at Bobby Julich here now, one of the new members of Team Motorola, but a very, very talented rider. Motorola look very carefully before they get the sign on the dotted line, and Bobby Julich is just 23 years of age from Glenwood Springs in Colorado. I don't know if Armstrong would be would help him win the race if he had the chance. Armstrong wants this title for himself, doesn't he, John?
I think Bobby Julich is here to put his head down on the handlebars and pedal as fast as he can to get Lance to the finish line. But now behind, despite the efforts of the 4 in front, despite the efforts of Dabasco, we talked about him early in the race, he is marking Lance Armstrong. Wherever Lance he goes, but they're still being caught by a group in front, by a group in back, rather. There appears to be about 15, 20 seconds between a large chase group and the foursome in front. Counterattack by Dabasco.
He surprises me doing that. He's really surprising me doing that. This is the man who won a stage in the Tour of Spain last year. And in fact, Bobby Julich here is going to have to pedal a little bit harder to close the gap because he's just done a little bit of pacemaking. He'll need a second wind. And this is going to hurt young Bobby just for the moment. But he's done it. He's come onto the back wheel of Brian Walton. Walton of Team Saturn has a tremendous form. And I think he will do well this race.
Both Lance Armstrong, Brian Walton, Bobby Julich, no strangers to the front of the Core States Championship, and neither is Alessio Dabasco. When the Mercatoni Uno team, or Beneo's G's team in 1990 won this race, but Dabasco was a team member of that Italian team that so dominated the end of this race. Paolo Cimini winning the race, and now he's back in front. 4 of these men experienced, know what they're doing in the front of this bike race, Phil.
All right, well, we've got 4 riders in the lead. One of them is Lance Armstrong. I know that will be music in the ears of 2 particular people, and they are now with Ron Burke.
Thank you so much, Phil. I have with me a couple that is very interested in that lead group right now because it includes Lance Armstrong. I have Lance's parents, Linda Walling and John Walling, up from Texas. And Linda, we were standing here last year at a time when Lance was not in the race. He had dropped out of the race. This certainly is much better news for you, Mom.
This is exciting. We've had a good time, and looks like there's a nice break, and hopefully we can stay in the lead.
Just moments ago, we heard from Jim in the Motorola car, Team Motorola car. And, John, you were in that car earlier during the race, so you got an up-close look at the race. Not an opportunity to talk to Lance as you drove next to him. Your impressions as you were following the race earlier and watching Lance and looking for how well he was doing.
Yeah, and these guys are all serious business out there. Oach is giving them instructions. I just sat there and listened because you're not supposed to talk too much because they're going too fast. And the car's going awfully fast as well. And it's a melee out there. But it's a lot of fun.
How tense does it get for you as we now approach the close of this race in another couple of laps or so?
Very much so, because you see a break of 4 riders, and one of the riders is a very, very good sprinter. I wanted to stay real hot and humid so Lance can get out, okay?
Despite how things turned last year, Linda, you handled it like a true professional in the truest sense of the word, and that is a credit to you. But now that Lance is doing quite well and the race is reaching the latter stages, what are you feeling inside right now?
Well, I'm always proud of him, win or lose. And he's a good person, big-hearted, and we love him to death.
All right, well, thank you so much for the Wallings. Thank you. We are glad that you visited this fine city from Texas once again. All right, Lance Armstrong's parents. Right now, let's go up top to Tim Lake at the upper wall. Tim?
Hey, Ron, we're back on the upper wall. Let me give you an idea of what goes on when the bikers aren't actually coming by. We've got some entrepreneurs set up down here. Here's, what'd you tell me your name was?
Mike Kershia.
Mike, okay. You know, what are you selling here? You got soda, you got blow pops, you got, what all you got here?
Party mix and blow pops, soda.
Okay, you making lots of money?
Yeah.
And you do this just for the bike race, right?
Yes.
Hold your head up here so we can see your face. There you go. We can see your face. Now, give me an idea what kind of profit you're making here. Quite a bit? How much money have you collected so far?
Like $50.
$50? That's not bad. That's pretty good. What are you going to do with all that?
Buy a skateboard.
I'm sorry?
Buy a skateboard.
Buy a skateboard, not a bicycle?
No.
You don't want to be a bicycle racer?
No.
You'd rather sell food and concessions on the side, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I'm sorry your partner left. He couldn't join us here today. Anyway, that's what goes on the sidelines, aside from all the party atmosphere on the upper wall where everybody is gathered about on their porches and along the side of the streets. It's one of the more crowded areas. So that's what's going on the upper part of the wall as we wait for the bikers to come by again and go through O'Brien's waterhole. So let's go back to you.
Hey, thanks very much, Tim, and I'll tell you, there is a huge crowd behind you. We could see them all there enjoying themselves on the wall, but these chaps here beginning to get the feeling they might be deciding this race because there are 4 riders in the lead. Let me remind you who they are. For Motorola, Lance Armstrong and Bobby Julich. For the Amore Vita team from Italy, Alessio De Basco, they should worry about him. And for the Team Saturn, the Canadian Brian Walton. They're the leaders. The latest time check we have is 52 seconds, and we'll be right back.
Philadelphia area Volvo dealers soon.
Dean Martin breaks his silence and sings out about his career, his health, and the love of his life. Jane Mansfield dazzled millions. Now see her like never before through the eyes of her son. Mickey Rooney, an American cinema great. But does Mickey Rooney Jr. idolize his dad? Ben Vereen earned fame and fought tragedy. Now witness his most dazzling accomplishment. Hollywood legends and their loved ones. Next, Geraldo.
Weekdays at 4 on Channel 10.
Dodge changed the rules of truck power, the rules of safety, comfort, convenience. And while we were changing those rules, another one changed all by itself. New rule: Dodge pickups now have higher resale than Ford, Chevy, or GMC. Want proof? Check the rule book. The rules have changed. At America's Truck Stop, the new Dodge.
On every roof, a wedding cake.
Down each lane, a friend to make. Endless blues. Glorious views. And kissing off the 10 o'clock news. Bermuda, a short trip to the perfect holiday.
The Chevy Lumina minivan, more are sold here than anywhere else in America. Why? Driver's side airbags, four-wheel ABS brakes, hit-proof body panels, modular seating, and more. Right now, you can lease a Lumina minivan for $239 a month. Listen, test drive a Lumina minivan. If you buy a Ford Windstar or a Chrysler minivan, we'll give you $50. No catch, no gimmicks, $50. Get a Lumina minivan for $239 a month at your local Chevy Geo dealers today. Hey, we dare you to compare.
And welcome back, and this is the lead group. And my goodness me, they're moving now. They've just gone through the start-finish line on the Benjamin Franklin Parkway, and they're now heading out for the penultimate lap, lap number 8 of 10, or lap number 9 of 10, rather. 2 climbs of the Manny Young Wall are still to come. They are being chased by 20 riders who split away from the main chase group, and that group of 20 riders is being slowed as possible by Steve Bauer of Canada, who is a Motorola rider. The reason? Because Lance Armstrong and Bobby Julich are in this lead group, and with them is Alessio Di Basco, and in fact, it's not Brian Smith, but Brian Walton, who is in this lead group.
Tremendous Brian Walton, no stranger to the front of the Course Championship. He was the one man who dared attack the Motorola team in the Kmart Classic of West Virginia, took the yellow jersey of race leadership away from Frankie Andreu and Lance Armstrong for a couple of the days before Lance Armstrong finally took the race. Bobby Julich doing everything to get his team leader to the front. Something interesting about Di Basco. Di Basco had harsh words for the American bike racers after West Virginia. He said the Americans are babies. They're afraid to attack the Motorola. He said they sit there and they follow and they follow. They're afraid to attack. And I knew today that he was going to be a man of the race. And here he is going blow for blow with the world champion. And he's the fastest sprinter. Brian Walton, on the other hand, strong rider, brave man, courageous bike rider, is sitting on, is not taking any pulls in this breakaway group. He is being towed along, sucked along, hoping to be carried close enough to the finish to attack everyone. Look at that. Some camaraderie there, helping Di Basco along. Why not? Di Basco is pulling this train like a bull. A good breakaway group, a tough one. Lot to go.
Well, the official time gap, John, is going up very, very rapidly. It's now out to 1 minute and 18 seconds, and that is the gap they're building. They've added something like 22 seconds in the last couple of miles, so they are flying, and it's all without the help of Brian Walton. Well, I think his tactic is quite correct. He's not helping the 2 Motorola riders at all, because he knows if he helps them, they will probably do the old 1-2 and try to get rid of Brian towards the end. But Walton, very, very cognizant of where number 11, Lance Armstrong, is. He wants to know what Armstrong is. He doesn't want Armstrong to suddenly attack on his own, because that is the habit of Lance Armstrong. When everybody's working well together, Armstrong decides to try and go by himself. And Alessio Di Basco, despite his strong words about Motorola, he really must watch himself, because they will work him over at half an opportunity.
They're really very strong, and it shows the temperament, the racing temperament of this fine Italian sprinter, that with the fastest final sprint in the field, he's not afraid to go blow to blow with Armstrong. Going pull for pull with Lance Armstrong is a little bit like going into the ring and going punch for punch with Mike Tyson. And you've got to be pretty strong to take that punishment. But I think that Tom Schuler of the Saturn team must have some comments to make about Brian Walton's role in this breakaway. Tom, what do you have?
Hello, John.
Yo, I'm here.
Yeah, this is Tom Schuler of the Saturn team. Brian Walton's out in the front group, and for Brian, this is a big race. As you know, John and Phil, Brian always had a good race.
I think John's probably gone into the only tunnel on the circuit there, because our signal to Tom rather is not as clear as it might be. So we'll come back to you on that one, Tom, because I'd like to know what tactics you're planning now on Brian Walton, who's in this breakaway from Canada. He has superb form. He is riding so well. He won 2 gold medals in the Pan American Games right out at the start of the season, and since then has featured in every event that we have televised around the United States this year. And he's got himself a handful, of course, in Lance Armstrong. But this man has come to form. He only won 1 race last year, Alessio Di Basco. It was a stage in the Tour of Spain. He's only won 1 race this far, and that was the stage last week in the Kmart Classic of West Virginia. So he's getting the feel for winning.
He is a winner, Alessio Dabasco. It's something very interesting about that team of Mari Vita. If you look on the jersey, if he stands up at the end of the race, you'll see a cigarette on the jersey with a little cloud of smoke coming out of it. And not a cloud, it's a little sort of cartoon balloon. It says thank you in Italian, grazie, for not having lighted me. It's sort of an anti-smoking initiative that's helped sponsor this team. It's sort of an interesting form of sponsorship. Right behind, no surprise, the Chevrolet LA Sheriffs. Steve Haig, the former national champion, defending his title at the front of affairs, at the front of I do think this must be the Chase Group. Yes, it is. He has got to catch these men in front if he wants to be national champion. Chevrolet, responsibility of closing on this breakaway on them right now.
Well,
back to the front.
There are 20 men in that group, John, and the Chevrolet LA Sheriff team is the team that must pull, because as Jim Okovich has told us, they have missed the boat at the moment. Now, Tom Schuler, I think you're back. It's Phil Liggett here, Tom. Tom, you've got Brian Walton in the break. I would have thought you'd be pretty happy with the form of Brian right now.
Well, Phil, as you know, Brian's always had a good race here at the Core States. A few years ago, Brian was on a solo, and he got caught 3 miles from the finish. Last year, he had a strong ride chasing Sean Yates and ended up third. So Brian's no stranger to success here. He's very motivated for this race, and he's preparing himself just right for this race. So we have a lot of faith in Brian. We also have 3 Saturn riders in the Chase Group of 20. So either way, if they get caught by the Chase Group, we're feeling pretty good right now.
Well, it's been a good day for you so far, Tom, with Clara Hughes on your team at winning the Liberty Classic.
Yeah, the women rode spectacularly. It looked, they seemed to have the race covered the whole time, and towards the end there, when the 17 came together on the final stretch, we were a little bit worried because, you know, anything can happen in a final dash like that, even if you do have good sprinters in there. And we had talked about Clara Hughes and possibly Dee Dee Demet being our attackers in the final kilometers, and Clara just did a fantastic attack, and, you know, they rode fantastically.
And just one quick question on the women, Tom. You lost Karen Livingstone Bliss in a crash. Is she okay? She went to hospital.
We haven't really heard. We heard it was probably a broken collarbone, and, you know, we'll hope for the best.
Absolutely. Well, the tactics then, will Brian have to break away on his own, do you think, if this race comes to these 4 getting clear?
Well, Brian's going to have to try something, and I haven't been able to see what he's doing up there, but it sure does look like Dabasco's working hard, and I think Bobby Julich will be working quite hard, too. So, you know, Brian's good at the long races. He knows how to wait it out, and he usually saves something for the final.
All right, well, thanks very much, Tom. Well, that was Tom Schuler on the phone from the team car of Team Saturn. Tom Schuler, by the way, rode the very first of these championships back in 1985, and he finished in 5th place. If it hadn't been for the fact Eric Heiden won the race, he would have been the champion of America. But he's a great team manager now. This is the Chase Group, and the Shackley team are also now having to contribute to the moves.
It's time to move for the American teams. They've waited long enough. They've given control of the race to Motorola. They let Motorola chase on Eddie Gregas. Good moves on their part, but now they're in trouble because Lance Armstrong's in the front of the race with his new right-hand man, Bobby Julich, and he's not going to slow down. They better catch up in the back because this is the world champion in a race that he wants to win, going as hard as he can with an Italian on super form and a teammate on super form as well. And Brian Walton, the great Pan American Games champion, lying in wait.
The Schuylkill River there must look rather pleasant at the moment for these riders because they are riding into a headwind, and in fact Dabasco is working very, very hard indeed. Right, well, as the riders head up towards the Manayunk, over the top of the Manayunk is our roadside cop today, Siani Lee. Siani?
Hello there. We've got a great crowd out here for you at Lemon Hill. As you can see, folks are just scattered all along this hill with their blankets, their picnic baskets, and their water coolers. Earlier we had a softball game going on here, and back here we've got people playing Frisbee. Look at this. Dartmouth is even represented. Who's from Dartmouth? Hi, Dartmouth. How you doing? And here we've got Jane and her family from Yardley. And Jane, you've been coming out here for about 6 years, isn't that right?
That's right. From Yardley, coming very early in the morning, about 7:30.
And you've been reserving this very spot.
Yes, we have. This is our traditional spot, and we're back again.
And who's this sitting next to you?
Derek. Derek.
Derek, how you doing?
Derek.
Oh, Derek, I'm sorry. Okay. And you've got a favorite in the race, is that right?
Yeah, we do. We're watching the Motorola team. Lance Armstrong.
Lance Armstrong, America's best racer. Let's hear it for him. The Motorola team is pretty hot out there.
They sure are.
And you've been watching him pretty much, I've been following him for the past years. He won the 1993 championship here.
Saw him win the $1 million purse.
Okay. All right. Well, folks, are you having a great time out here today? Okay. We're having a great time. We're going to continue to watch the race for you here at Lemon Hill. It's a great sight out here, so you can come on and stop by and join the rest of us here having a party. And as you can see, folks are still coming up the hill. Let's send it back up to Al.
They are, and who is in the lead now, sir?
We now have Alessio Dabasco. Here he is doing a lot of work here. Now, it's worth reminding ourselves what happened in the very early stages of the race today, because now it's become a significant thing. Because the Italian rider in this breakaway, this is what happened on the climb of the Manayunk Wall. I think it was on lap number 1. He was in all sorts of problem at the back of the race, a quick wheel change, and he was a long way behind at this point. And I know that John Eustace was very disappointed, because John has had a feeling for this rider before this race started today, and his heart hit his boots when he saw on the very first climb of the Manayunk Wall, Alessio Dabasco was in considerable trouble. It actually takes a long time to locate the locking in of the cleats on those pedals. They're rather like ski bindings. You twist your feet into them. But anyway, he got back, and now he's driving the breakaway along. At the moment, he lies here in second place. The 4 riders are in the lead. There are 10 riders now chasing, and we'll see if they catch up right after this break.
In the good old days, they played on clay and dirt, and they played their hearts out in dusty, cramped arenas and great old buildings that still echo with their memories and a history we'll never forget. History means a lot to us at Core States, because our history of service to your banking needs goes back a long way, too. But it's much more than just a memory. It's a tradition of service that's even more important to us today than it was back in the good old days.
There's so much in this country that belongs to everyone. No matter how different we are, we all have something in common. There's a thread that weaves us all together. It's me. It's you. It's Tommy. The new American fragrance from Tommy Hilfiger. Available at selected strawberry juice.
Maybe you've always seen yourself in a Jeep Grand Cherokee with a 190 horsepower engine, anti-lock brakes, and driver's airbag. But maybe you've never seen one fitting into your budget. So maybe you'll be surprised to see for $299 monthly, one can. The easy-to-lease Jeep Grand Cherokee. Now, if you can see it in your head, you can see it in your driveway.
To your Key States Jeep and Eagle dealers. Bike Line, the nation's largest chain of specialty bicycle stores with over 50 locations, is also the nation's largest Trek dealer. Bike Line features the entire line of Trek bicycles, including kids' bikes, cross bikes, racing bikes, and a hot new mountain bike. Bike Line carries a full line of clothing and accessories and offers expert repairs on all makes of bikes. So stop by any one of Bike Line's tri-state locations today. Bike Line, setting the pace for fitness.
Fellow graduates, many choices lay before us. The future is in our hands. Let's take this opportunity to taste the sweetest things that life has to offer.
For graduations, anniversaries, whatever the occasion, call the Acme Party Line. We'll do the work. It's the easiest, most delicious way to celebrate.
Our destiny is calling. Check it out, Acme style, check it out.
And welcome back, and now we're looking at the face here, the defending US Pro Champion. Number 1 is Steve Hegg. He's been joined by Marty Jemison here from the Montgomery Bell. They've had a great day so far. Now Jemison, a very strong rider. He's come off the European teams. He's now joining Steve Hegg to try and put matters to right and to make this lead group 6 men. This is the face of number 11, Lance Armstrong, behind the more pained effort of Bobby Julich, who's been working so hard, and there he is. And the rider that they must fear, Alessio Dabasco of the Amore Vita team of Italy. This is the chase, and by goodness me, John, it looks as though Hegg is going to get back into this race. Look at this.
Strong, it's a great champion. Steve Hegg has been a wonderful American champion this year, racing with the red, white, and blue on his back. The Stars and Stripes jersey, honoring the jersey, honoring the title. No surprise that he's in front here. He's the best champion that we've had in years. And now, bit of a problem, though. Haig and Jemison are catching the two in front right at the base of the Manayunk wall. They have had to go faster than the four in front to catch the group. They have to be more tired. That effort they made before they got into the slipstreams of the four in front must have exhausted them, and now they're going up the hill. This is going to be a supreme effort. If I were Armstrong, I would go fast up the hill right now. I would try to get rid of Haig, get rid of Jemison. They're going to have to hold on. It's a very good possibility that he's going to do that. I don't know if that's in his tactical makeup right now, but it is going to be tough for Haig and Jemison to hold on right now. It's going to extend their effort. If they make it over the top and down the other side, then they'll be in good shape, and we'll have 6 men in front and a very, very strong group that could go to the finish. The drama now, Lance looking around. He's seen that they've caught him. What is he going to do? Is he going to take them with him to the top of the hill and have allies for the race back to the start-finish line on the flats along the Kelly Drive, or is he going to attack and try to decimate this group? Phil, what do you think?
Well, I'll tell you, we're going to find out in a few seconds. You're right, John, because Haig has made the good move with Marty Jemison, because they are now 1 minute ahead of anybody else in this race, and that is a good gap as they climb this hill for the second to last time. Just one more climb up here for the big crowd, and it is a big crowd, isn't it? And there's the pressure gone on, and Haig is, despite having just joined John, is trying to cross the gap. There's no need to ask who's making the effort. It is Lance Armstrong. Armstrong never gives anybody any peace, and it looks as though O'Brien's spray is going to go right over Lance here, but no, he's dived up to the right. Lap number 9, the gap 1 minute, there's the confirmation of that. But Brian Walton and the Honore Evita rider, DeBrasco is a totally different rider to what he was when he arrived here just 3 weeks ago, John.
He came in, he had actually a kidney stone before he came in. He was in bad condition, and now he's back up to form. But look at Haig, Tracy, what a champion Haig is. Haig has to get onto these wheels by the top of the hill. Dave Lettieri is here to tell us about it. Dave, what's going on out there?
I just came up to the chase group, and Steve is really hungry for today, and hopefully he can hang on to these guys at the top of the hill and have a little rest going down the other side. But Steve is very motivated today, and I'm actually surprised that Brian Walton would even work with Lance to bring him up the road like that, especially with 3 American Saturn riders behind. We have from Chevrolet, we have Thomas Craven and Simeon Hempsel in this chase group, and Simeon's at the top of the hill, one of the first up the climb right now, so they're pretty in control of this chase group.
Dave, what do you think about the tactic of Lance Armstrong? He went hard up the hill. Okay, he eliminated Jemison, but he eliminated his own teammate. What do you think that was a good move on his part from a director's point of view?
Not at this time in the race, because we still have like 25 miles to go, and it's a tough 25 miles, so it's important to have some help there.
Headstrong Lance Armstrong out there, feeling the victory. Maybe he wants his victory too much. We've seen that affect the tactical judgment of riders in the past. Possibly that's going to happen. And look at the gap that Armstrong has opened up. Is Haig in there, or has he cracked her at the top of the hill? They've really opened up this gap, Phil.
This is amazing. They've taken, I would say, more than a minute now over the main field, which is not their main field at all. It was, in fact, a group of 20 riders. But Bobby Julich is here with Steve Haig and Marty Jemison. They may well come back this time, but they know now what Armstrong has in store for them if he gets a second shot at them on the last climb. The gap is now confirmed at 15 seconds between the defending champion, number 1, Steve Haig of the Chevrolet LA Sheriff team. And he's going to try and get back. He was so unlucky that it was a brilliant chase with Marty Jemison. They latched onto the back wheels of the leaders as they swung onto the wall, and I think it was too much to expect they could have survived, and that was why Lance Armstrong attacked when he did. It was a little bit unlucky, but I'd said earlier that Bobby Julich was looking tired, and in fact he cracked as well. But even so, I think that Haig, if he allows himself just a few minutes to settle in, he's still got a chance to get back with the 3 leaders. Here they are.
And here he's speaking of the leaders. Here they are on the fall from the wall. Look at the crowds all the way up and down. You're right, Phil Liggett. There is Haig. He's within sight.
He's not panicking.
So motivated. He is so professional. He's a late bloomer, Steve Haig. He was an Olympic champion in 1984 in the Los Angeles Olympics. Tried, sort of, almost meandered through the cycling world for a while. Thought of himself as a short course racer, and now late in his career has developed as a powerful road racer.
All right, well, this race is still a lot of action to come. About 25 miles to go, as Dave Lettieri has just told us. His man is currently on the defense in 4th place. Armstrong is on the attack. We'll take a break.
Here's an interesting new twist. Only a Sony Handycam Vision Series camcorder has the new swivel screen color viewfinder. Shooting is easier and playback is instant, so the fun is easy to watch. even when it's something you'd rather not see. Sony Handycam with swivel screen. Life can be so simple.
Strawbridge & Clothier is your Sony headquarters. When you buy a camcorder starting at $4.99, you'll get 4 tickets to Hershey Park as a bonus. Now at Strawbridge & Clothier.
How long ago was it when they played hockey with no helmets or masks, and basketball with no shot clock, and no team would be caught dead in a color like teal? And how long ago was it all we really needed was one simple loan to take care of everything you really needed? But times have changed, and so have we. Now Core States offers loans to help with everything from a new car to an extended credit line that will help your small business grow bigger. Because some things never change.
Trade in my Honda. Never. I love this car. Best car I've ever owned.
Best car we've ever had.
We'd never trade. Sorry.
Love this car. Sorry,
Not
never
gonna
deal.
happen.
Look at it. It's perfect. It's in great shape.
Recently, all these Honda owners did something they vowed they'd never do. They traded in their old Hondas, except for the Craigs.
No.
So while everyone else has a new Honda, the Craigs now have two. The 1995 Accord. If you think your old Honda is worth a lot to you, wait until you see what it's worth to your Honda dealer.
Coors Light, the silver bullet. It's shipped cold to preserve the clean taste of the Rockies.
I had the most moving experience the other day. It involved me, my family, and a brand new Ford Windstar. When we went to our Ford dealer, we were instantly sold on Windstar. And not only did we get $1,000 cash back, we could choose from any minivan on the lot. No other minivan has more passenger room, and there's plenty of cargo room for those family vacations. It's ideal for the family on the move.
$1,000 cash back on Windstar is for a limited time, so you better move it to your Quality Plus Ford dealer today.
Channel 10's live coverage of the Core States Championship continues.
And welcome back, and now you will see there are 5 riders back with the leaders, and Bobby Julich, they are all together again, and what a tremendous chase down, but they didn't panic over the top of the climb. Steve Hegg, the defending pro champion, is very much a part of this race yet again for the 2nd year in succession. Moments ago, it all came together, and we can show you now exactly how it happened on tape. This is the catch. Steve Hegg was driving. He could see Armstrong, Dabasco, and Brian Walton. He was taking Marty Jemison with him from Montgomery Bell, and Bobby Julich had caught those two as well. So the 3 chasers were coming back, and there it is. We're now back to the status quo, and Armstrong will have to do it all over again if indeed he is going to win this race. Now, the race together, Armstrong still powering away. Now, our man out on the course, once finished 2nd in this race. Now he's on the back of a motorbike. Davis Finney, what's your interpretation so far, Davis?
Well, it's a very interesting race right now. The 3 riders who came back from behind, Steve Hegg, Marty Jemison, and Bobby Julich, have caught up. Steve Hegg very much has his game face on, but what's happened here is Brian Walton caused Lance Armstrong to sit up front because he just refused to pull through, as well as Alessio Dabasco. So Lance has waited for his teammate Bobby Julich, but primarily it is Lance Armstrong and Steve Hegg who are motivating this group. Now Marty Jemison has just gone to the front, but Brian Walton learned very well the lesson last year that he should not do too much too soon, and he is just going to be the cat here and sit back and sit back and sit back. And I would expect that Brian Walton and Alessio Dabasco will do no work, and it'll be up to these 4 in front. But remember, Lance Armstrong does have a teammate here.
Do you think that Lance is doing just a little bit too much? It's a bit of a gamble, I know, because he's 1:10 is the latest check, Davis, and that chase group of some 16 men now.
Well, you know, there's enough power up here that Lance Armstrong is very motivated to keep this group through, because as you remember, 2 years ago, he was with Bobby Julich, who was on another team, going into the final climb up Manayunk Wall with a group of about 5 riders, and he shot off like a rocket. Now, I assume that he is planning to make that same move, so he'll not want to wait about too much here, and he's got Bobby Julich motivating the front of this group to keep them ahead. But again, Alessio Dabasco and, of course, Brian Walton are just going to sit back, and hopefully they have the stuff, that's what they think, to go with Lance Armstrong next time up the hill.
All right, well, thanks very much, Davis. Now, I think we've got back in contact with Dave Lettieri here. Well, the moment of panic is over, Dave, and Steve Hegg has got back into the action. Has he learned anything from that move?
Well, he caught right at the bottom of the hill. It was bad timing, but he did a good job of getting back on, so hopefully he knows what he has to do this next lap. I believe it's one more time up the hill, correct?
Yes, that's right, Dave. One more time to sweat it out, mate, and then you might have a champion again.
Yeah, so I told him, gave him some instructions, how just to be careful on the climb, and, he knows what he has to do, and what we talked about in our meeting, so Steve's where we want him to be right now. Bobby's right now, Julich is driving the brake, and everybody seems to be working together a little bit.
Tremendous race. What do you think the tactic of the Saturn team is going to be right now? They seem to be, as far as the chase for the national championship, we have two previous winners of the American National Championship, Haig and Lance Armstrong in the breakaway. We could have a two-time winner here. What do you think the Saturns are thinking right now with Brian Walton, the Canadian?
Well, Brian's riding great the last couple of years at course dates, but I think I'm surprised they wanted to go with the other Saturn Americans in the chase group, but maybe they feel that's their best chance. Our best chance is with Steve, and we want him to get the jersey.
Thanks very much, Dave. Well, not such good news. We're now going to have a chat with Scott Moniger, who's a member of the Chevrolet LA Sheriff team. Scott, I understand you're in the pits and out of the race. What has happened?
Just not having the best day, I'm afraid, Phil. But I think Steve Hegg is really motivated to be out there, and I foresee it coming down, probably a battle between Lance and Steve.
Well, you've been around a long time, Scott, and have put in some tremendous rides, especially in this particular race. Has it been a particularly difficult course today? How is the wind, for example, affecting the riders?
Actually, the conditions are pretty much ideal. It was fairly overcast the first, half of the race. Motorola was kind of keeping things fairly calm compared to past years, setting not a real extreme tempo because the front group was only 3 riders. So it's just more of a personal thing. But the team seems to be riding really well. We had 3 riders in that big split, and now Hegg has made it across to the group. So I'm just going to sit here and cheer him on, I guess.
Well, I hope so. I mean, Hegg is riding really well these last few weeks, isn't he?
Yeah, he's really been the surprise to me anyway. He was a little slow getting started this spring, and I was really concerned that he might not get his form back, but he's really timed it well. Atlanta, Pittsburgh, just even West Virginia, every week he's just been getting a little better and a little better. He's really got his sights set on today, I believe.
All right, well, enjoy the rest of the race in the pit, Scott, and I'm sorry things didn't work out for you, but they could still work out for your team as this race unfolds.
All right, thanks, Phil.
Thanks very much indeed, Scott. Now, back with the leaders here, a little bit of picture breakup. That's because our cameras have gone under the tunnel and our helicopters have gone over the tunnel. Remember, these pictures coming to you live from the banks of the River Schuylkill, and the race is winding down for its final big circuit of the Manayunk Wall, and then we're going to get some indication as to who will win the US Pro Championship. We'll take a break.
There was a time when age was a quality to be revered. At Greater Atlantic, it still is. That's why we offer a special health plan for seniors called Wise Choice. Wise Choice provides comprehensive benefits, including prescriptions, with no monthly premium. It's better coverage than Medicare and those supplemental plans combined. Call us and learn what thousands of seniors already know. Wise Choice from Greater Atlantic. The health plan and the respect you deserve.
They were innocent and unpretentious, those early places. Some were famous, some were not, and some we'll never forget. But down on Broad, by where the new legends live, they're building a new place for the Flyers and Sixers, with steel and stone and memories and a lot of hometown pride. And we're proud to say our name will be on it, because this has always been our hometown, too.
If you're a little fuzzy on how Eagle Vision TSI stacks up against competitors like Camry XLE, here's a free vision exam. Unlike Camry, Vision TSI comes with a more powerful 214 horsepower engine, more passenger and cargo room, and a cutting-edge cab-forward design for a longer, wider stance. All at a price that's over $1,500 less than Camry. There, that should put things in focus. Test drive Eagle Vision at your Key States Jeep and Eagle dealer.
In cardiac care, experience is everything.
In Philadelphia, no one has more experience than the Heart Hospital at Hahnemann University. No one performs more cardiac surgery. And in electrophysiology, catheterization, and every aspect of cardiac care, we're leading the way in treating heart disease without surgery. At Hahnemann, experience doesn't just make us bigger, it makes us better. The Heart Hospital at Hahnemann University.
As a rule, Peterson's Four-Wheel and Off-Road magazine chooses a different truck each year as their 4x4 of the year. Of course, we all know how Dodge Ram feels about rules. Dodge Ram, first ever, 2 years in a row, 4x4 of the year. At America's Truck Stop, the new Dodge.
And welcome back to the U.S. Core State Professional Cycling Championship. At the face of Lance Armstrong on the right, on the left, the man who's vying for the U.S. title is Steve Hegg, the defending champion. This little group is being brought back by the chase, everybody. There is an attack coming from the back. The gap has reduced from 1 minute 10 to 55 seconds. And I think, you know, that they're getting to know it, and I don't think they're working well together at the moment, Al.
All right, the start-finish line is coming up, and they'll be going into the 10th lap shortly. But right now, let's take a swing around the horn to start with Ciani Lee and Lemon Hill. Ciani.
Hiya, Big Al. You can really feel the excitement here growing on the Lemon Hill here as the cyclists make their way up this hill, the last hill, basically, before they get over to the Art Museum and over to the Parkway. And we've got one more lap to go, is my understanding, and everybody is off of their blankets here and on their feet, just cheering all these cyclists on. Now, earlier, we talked to a couple of folks, and including a couple of colleges, and Dartmouth was mentioned, but Colorado University was very upset that they didn't get mentioned. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
And this is Grant. How you doing?
Good. We're here voting on Lance Armstrong from Colorado.
That's right. He's the big favorite, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
And how many years have you been watching him bike race?
Since I was Colorado 88.
All right.
88, ready to go.
And you're going to stick around for the rest of the race and find out how this thing goes, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No doubt.
And we will be here as well, watching the final excitement here as the guys make their way around one more time. And I just want to say that I've had a fabulous time meeting everybody over at Manayunkin Ridge, also here on Lemon Hill. Now let's go over to John Bolaris over at the wall. Hi, John.
How you doing, Ciani? I'm telling you, each year, what I find the most amazing is that the weather seems to hold off. It seems to cooperate year after year after year. It's always been dry for this huge cycling event. It's been going on 11 years, and I know I've been here the last 4 years, and it's been absolutely delightful. And I got to thank Dan and Christine, their house. This has been the ultimate house party, roof party, one of the best views in all of Manayunk for the race, looking right down the lower half of the wall as the cyclists kind of like really grit their teeth and head up the wall. But they've been very, very gracious, great hosts and hostess. I want to thank you, and I want to just thank everyone. We're going to say goodbye, and we're going to be throwing it up to Tim, so we want to say goodbye to you all out there. We're going to enjoy ourselves here, watch for the cyclists come around, enjoy some hot dogs, burgers, salad, macaroni, whatever. And now we have Tim Lake standing by up on the other half of the hill, the top of the hill. Tim.
Hey, John, we're about halfway up the hill. Now, this is where it really gets exciting, because as the racers come up here on their final lap, you can really feel them exerting themselves. I recall last year kneeling down on the edge of the road, and you could feel the wind, the whoosh, as they went by you. So on their final round here, they're really going to be moving along. So all these people around here are going to be cheering them on. You can almost see them scanning the crowds, getting extra help from the people as they cheer them on. See, yeah, they're all ready to do it. Everybody loves to be on TV as well. We also want to mention once again the famous O'Brien's water hole as it gets warmer and warmer throughout the afternoon. The riders probably on this last lap won't be as concerned about getting doused with water. They just want to get up to the top of this hill as quickly as possible, and you're going to see some real excitement as for some of them, especially those in the middle of the pack, they can kind of get ahead on this hill if they have a little extra energy left. So this is going to be one exciting final run up the hill, and hopefully we'll be back here to let you watch it all live again next year. I'm Tim Lake, halfway up the hill. Let's go back to you, Al.
All right, Ken, thanks a lot. Gentlemen, they just passed start-finish, which means one more time around, then a few times around the circle here, and we're into the real race now.
Well, this is amazing now. This breakaway is on lap number 10 of the big circuits as they head around the oval again, but the chase group is coming, and my goodness me, it's coming. It's 30 seconds is the gap now. Only 30 seconds to the lead group, so Lance Armstrong hasn't been given this at all. And as we head off towards the pits, the big lead is coming down. Let's go and join Janet Cepeda.
This is the feed zone as they're going through. The last time they'll be able to pick up their water bottles before they hit the circuits. A very tricky. It's sponsored by Powerade. This feed zone is the Powerade feed zone. They're sitting up. They must feel that the end is near as the chase group is approaching. The reason that this group didn't succeed is one word, two words, Brian Walton. Brian Walton of the Saturn team finally got his orders from team boss Tom Schuler to do everything in his power to stop this breakaway from succeeding. He infiltrated the front, he slowed them down, he caused confusion at the front of the race, while at the back of the pack, in the back of the chase group, 20, 30 seconds behind, his Saturn teammates have been at the front of that group doing everything in their power to bring it back together. If there hadn't been Brian Walton, if it had been an American from the Saturn team, this breakaway group would have gone to the finish. But the world is made of ifs, and this is what's happening for real, and they should be caught when short order fills.
Well, I make it just on 30 seconds, John, but look at this. Alessio De Basco will be very upset by this. He's worked so hard to get into this lead group, and now he's finding it's beginning to crumble around his ears. Now, when you start to freewheel like that, and they're all doing it, then I'm just wondering if there's going to be an attack from somebody in this breakaway. So there's the group now. The man in the hot seat who sees everything at close range is our Davis Phinney. Davis. Well, I'm not sure Davis Phinney is hearing us. I'll try him once more. Davis Phinney, Phil Liggett, are you with the breakaway?
I am with the breakaway, and right now they're playing so much cat and mouse that, as you said, the pack is catching up quite quickly. Now, Jim Ochowicz has just gone up to the group, and he's kind of sternly give Lance Armstrong the warning to not try to force Brian Walton and De Basco and Marty Jemison to go to the front, but to just set Bobby Julich on there and pull them all the way up this hill. And Bobby's finally doing that. They've just been playing too many games here, and certainly Bobby Julich is no Sean Yates, or he would have been driving this race for the entire last lap. I think Bobby's very, very tired here, but he's just got to get Lance to the bottom of the hill, and Lance can go. So finally it's settling down with Bobby being the only one working, because everyone else was just not keying off Lance.
Well, the chase behind is all the Team Saturn. It looks to me as though they're trying to come. We've now gone through 131 miles covered. Remember, the race is 156 miles. After we complete this big circuit with the last climb of the Manayunk Wall, we then commence three-mile circuits, which will continue to take us up Lemon Hill. So the hills don't end until the race rolls to a halt in the Benjamin Franklin Parkway. It is a marvelous race now because the tactics are so complex and the riders themselves aren't too sure which cards to play, because Armstrong, the favourite, they must have thought had done everything right. Just look at the chaos down there. We've got the leaders, and now we've got what was left of that pack, some 15 riders. They are scrambling across to the front runners. The pace being set at the moment by Bobby Julich, who is running out of energy fast, but he's trying to give all he can to the Lance Armstrong particularly.
They've just been caught by the chase group. They're all together now. We have a new bike race, Phil Liggett.
We certainly do. They'll have to rethink the tactics now as they go out on the final lap up the Manayunk Wall before the small circuits begin. Good time for us to take a short break.
You gotta keep them separated.
In the good old days, they played on clay and dirt, and they played their hearts out in dusty, cramped arenas and great old buildings that still echo with their memories and a history we'll never forget. History means a lot to us at Core States, because our history of service to your banking needs goes back a long way, too. But it's much more than just a memory. It's a tradition of service that's even more important to us today than it was back in the good old days.
A new lucrative career could be yours today with Gary Barbero's world-famous Dodgeland Super Discount Center in nearby beautiful Roxborough. The world's largest Dodge dealer with over $10 million in buying power is forced to add on a separate sales department. Imagine earning a potential of well over 6 figures with health and vacation benefits, and maybe even drive to work in a demo Dodge Stealth. Apply in person for health, stealth, and wealth at Barbero Dodgeland Super Discount Center this Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon, just off exit 31 of the Schuylkill on Ridge Avenue in nearby beautiful Roxborough.
Can I help
Copy? Yeah, Coors Light, please.
Colorado, Rocky Mountain High, I've seen it rain and fire in the sky. Shadow from the starlight, softer than a lullaby. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Rocky Mountain High.
Trade in my Honda. Never. I love this car. Best car I've ever owned.
Best car we've ever had.
We'd never trade. Sorry.
Love this car. Sorry,
Not gonna
no deal.
happen.
Look at it. It's perfect. It's in great shape.
Recently, all these Honda owners did something they vowed they'd never do. They traded in their old Hondas, except for the Craigs.
No.
So while everyone else has a new Honda, the Craigs now have two. The 1995 Accord. If you think your old Honda is worth a lot to you, wait until you see what it's worth to your Honda dealer.
And welcome back to the United States Championship, the open event Core States here in Philadelphia. And I can tell you now, this is turning out to be a great race now. We're looking at Clark Sheehan here, riding for Montgomery Bell, a team that so far has had a very, very good race indeed. Eddie Gregus, remember, has run out the overall winner of the Saturn Teamwork Challenge, and that's earned this team $2,500, and this race is not even over. In fact, very far from it, Jim Ockovich, because that breakaway, which had Armstrong and Julich and the Motorola team in it, are you surprised it came back?
Not really. When I saw that Haig came across, I think that that pretty much shut that one down. And as a result, you saw the two groups merge back together.
And now, sorry, Jim, but now you've got to think again on plans. I mean, do you think Lance has wasted a lot of energy there with that attack?
Well, certainly took some energy, but I don't think he took any more energy for him than it took anybody else to either bridge across or the guys that were working with him up there. I think the favorites still are Haig and Alvis Walton outside of our team, so they're all in here, and those are the people that I think up to this point had to do some work as well.
Now, it looks as though Steve Bauer, who's such a solid competitor on Team Motorola, Jim, has got control of this rather select little bunch of riders now. He's setting the pace at the moment.
Yeah, and he knows what pace he needs to do here. I think there's going to be some action next time up the hill, and we'll see what happens from there on in.
Now, Lance has shown he has the strength on the hill. He split the lead group last time. We've got this one climb to go at the Manny Young Wall, but in fact, you've got a service call, Jim, so I'm going to leave you because you're going to have to go and look at this. I think it's, in fact, Armstrong who requires your attention, so I'll leave you to that job, Jim, and speak to you shortly.
Thanks, Phil.
And there we see, you can't beat live television, everybody. There we see Jim Ockovich. We talked to Jim Ockovich, and now Lance Armstrong wants to talk to him as well. We can't win, John.
He's a popular man, Jim Ockovich, at this moment. Lance Armstrong, how am I going to win this bike race? Jim, what am I going to do? Have Steve go to the front, take this whole bunch to the hill, and let me blow them all the way on the hill? What are we going to do? We got this Italian sprinter that's real pesky. He's following me everywhere I go. He has for the 140 miles they've ridden so far. And plus, there are a lot of other guns in this field to worry about.
All right, well, while Jim Ockovich talks to Lance here, we're going to go to Davis Finney, who might be able to hear what they're saying. Davis.
Yep.
Davis Finney.
Well, Lance is just having a chat with Jim. I think he wants to reaffirm what Lance needs to do. Lance is still in a strong position, although there's 24 riders up the front. He has most of his strong team right up here, and as Jim mentioned earlier, they want to force some of these other riders to do a bit of the work here, but they've got to be very careful because they're running out of time. Now, Lance, if he wants to springboard, he may not be able to springboard now. There's just too many strong riders. If you could have seen the strength of Mike Engelman and Bart Bowen specifically coming up from behind to lead that group, it was incredible. So all the main danger men are right here, and Lance is just sitting at the back waiting for his moment on this hill.
All right, Davis, well, thank you very much. This race is intriguing. It's a great race this year. Now, let's go across to the pits where we can join Janice Zappala, and I think she has Lance Armstrong's girlfriend with her.
I do indeed, Daniela Overgaard. Did I say that right?
Well, you can say the Overgaard.
Overgaard. All right. Daniela, you raced today. You came in seventh?
Seventh, yeah, today.
And now you must be on pins and needles. Lance is in the front of the race here, but has got a long way to go.
Oh, yeah, it's like, there are like 5 or 6 guys in the front now, and it's 1 more big lap and then 3 small laps. So I'm kind of nervous right now because, you know, you never know what's going to happen, and I hope he's going to win, so.
Now, you obviously know him very well. Can you tell how he's doing when he races by, if he's still strong, if he's still in it?
Oh, he looks strong now to me. I mean, he's in the front there, he's up there, and yeah, his face he looks strong and he looks good, still fresh, I hope. But we'll see. It's always hard to win, of course, and those other guys are strong too. And the bad thing is that the last part is flat, so hopefully...
And he's better at the hills.
And he's better at the hills, and I think there are some good sprinters. I don't know the other guys in the group, but I think there are like 2 or 3 good sprinters in there, so...
Well, he's in a good spot right now. If he did win, it would be the first time anyone has won this race twice.
And that would be awesome.
I think that's a very good word for it, Amit. Awesome. We wish him the best of luck, and I know that you're just as thrilled about all of this.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Daniela. And again, we're here at the pit, the feed zone, and we have had such a day. I mean, riders going by every few minutes. They have 1 more lap here, I believe, and then that'll be it, and then 3 shorter laps. So we'll hang in here and hope for the best, and certainly we're rooting for Lance as well as the rest of the riders. Well, back to you now, guys.
I think everyone is rooting for Lance. I think Lance is certainly the name that's out here.
All right, well, thank you very much, Janet and Al. Now let's rejoin Davis Finney because he's got something to tell us.
Steve Bauer has just gone down. He has just fallen as they made the turn going towards Manayunk. Now the pack has completely sit up as, of course, Motorola is no longer driving. They're going to wait for Steve. But Sean Yates is now taking the pace up. I think they're going to make Steve a sacrificial lamb here because they can't afford to wait. They've just got to roll with it. And Phil Liggett certainly knows once Sean Yates gets going, there's just no stopping him. And he's going to drive this pace as best he can because they have got to springboard somebody, most specifically Lance, as they come up the hill. This is really their last shot because they have no sprinters left. And this big of a group to come to the finish line, it would be a good chance that they wouldn't win the race, Motorola.
Hey, thanks, David. In fact, we caught just a glimpse of Bauer lying on the right of the road there, but I thought, in fact, as he came at us so fast, it wasn't a rider, but it was obviously Bauer who'd gone down. He's having a pretty tough season. He's had a big crash in Belgium not long ago when he sideswiped a car that was parked on the course, and that was in a Belgian Classic race, and he's recovered just enough from that. And then he strained his ligaments in the Tour du Pont recently. He's just recovered from that, and now he's hit the deck again. But I think you get those years, and let's hope it doesn't last much longer. Anyway, Motorola are still trying to control this race. They're using my great friend, the Animal, who loves that nickname because Sean Yates is such a solid professional rider. One of the finest rewards ever in his career was the biggest victory of his life 1 year ago, and yes, it was this very, very race. And Sean Yates went from Philadelphia back into the Tour de France in July, and then he had the biggest, most pleasant happening in his life, and that was the yellow jersey. He took the race lead and held it for a day, and that was coming after riding the Tour de France 11 times. So Yates is a great bike rider. He's tremendously popular, and he wanted to come back for this. In fact, he was in the States in end of April, early May. He went home, but he insisted on flying back to Philadelphia for this race, and I'm glad he came because he is such an asset to this team. There he is, right on the front now, never afraid to work. He'll never ask anybody to come and help him. In fact, I often feel he gets a little bit put out if somebody goes past him because he likes to do all of the pace-making. Hometown is Epsom in Surrey. Well, that's down in the south of England. He's moved there with his new wife and baby, but well, his wife's not so new now, John, but even so, he's moved there because he lived down in Forest Row in Sussex before that. Just look at this wonderful crowd. This is a real happening here in Philadelphia, and it never gets any less of a happening, does it?
And it never gets any more exciting of a happening than on the approach to the last time up the Manayunk wall as Sean Yates, the big man from England, pounds away at the front, making this race. Look at how they're all strung out, holding on for dear life at the approach to the hill. Now, what is going to happen? There are 5 Motorolas, one of them on the ground, Bauer, 4 Motorolas. 2 Amari Vitas, 5 Saturns, 3 Chevrolets. What is going to happen on the wall? Is Armstrong going to blow them away on the wall and go to a solo victory? Is he going to take a group with him? Are all 20 riders going to go to the finish? This is the crucial moment in the bike race right now, and everyone knows it.
And now we'll see the factor Yates here himself is almost ripping away, and he's looked over and realized, and there's an attack gone from Saturn. Now the attacks are going to come Saturn and Motorola, shoulder to shoulder on the climb now. This is Bob Bowen on the attack. Bob Bowen, the previous champion of a couple of years ago. And this is a tremendous attack. Let's join Davis Finney right in the thick of the action. Davis.
Bart Bowen, surprisingly, has been the man who took over on the hill. Sean Yates came into it so quickly that he really gapped his team. But Lance Armstrong has now made his move. They have about 4 lengths on another Motorola rider, but Lance has definitively made his move right now, and it's up to Bowen to try to catch his wheel. Lance is solo right at this moment, 30 feet probably ahead of Bart Bowen, with everyone else clearly out of sight. This is the definitive move of the race right now.
Well, Davis, it is tremendous from where we're sitting as well. We are sitting because, in fact, Armstrong has gone, and Bart Bowen is struggling.
He's struggling, and Lance Armstrong has the gap, but now the question is, okay, we all know that Lance Armstrong is the strongest man in the race, world champion, no surprise that he's blown away from the field. Bart Bowen waving on his teammates in frustration, but now, can Lance Armstrong stay away from this group chasing, on the fall, back down to the wall, and will he be able to hold off 20 riders by himself all the way back to the Benjamin Franklin Parkway in Philadelphia? Phil.
Well, Jim Ockovich, the manager of Lance Armstrong of Team Motorola. It's happened, Jim. The attack has come. Now what's going to happen? Oh, I don't think... Jim Ockovich, can you hear Phil?
Yeah.
That's right. I say the attack has come now. Can he hang on?
I don't know. I can't see much on the front yet, Phil.
Oh, sorry.
We're in the back here with Steve Bauer. He had a crash just before the Mannion.
Of course, I'd forgotten you've been delayed by Steve Bauer. Well, that's the first question, Jim. How is he?
He's up and going, and he'll finish the race.
Okay, well, when you come back to the bunch, you're going to find that number 11 isn't there now, Lance Armstrong. He has gone clear on the climb up the wall.
Now there must be panic in the chase group. All behind. They all know that Lance Armstrong is in front. As Davis Finney said, he used the Manioc wall as a springboard to bound away from the breakaway group. Now in solo splendor, in front, on television, with, it looks like almost a minute he seemed to have taken out of them on the hill. But the danger for Lance Armstrong and the Motorola team is coming from the United Efforts, the Chevrolet, the Saturn, the Saab team, the Montgomery Bell team. They're all going to organize and unite to catch this man. Will one man be 50 seconds lead? We've just gotten the report from the field. 15, excuse me, Stan reported 15 seconds is still a big, on a half-mile hill, 15 seconds is tremendous. Will he be able to hold off all of these men behind him? What is going to happen? That is the question.
Well, we're over the top of the Mannion Pool. Now we're heading downhill. The hill is now behind them for another year here in this great race. But they still have three-mile circuits of Lemon Hill to come. And, of course, they've still got to climb Lemon Hill on this lap as well. 15 seconds is the gap, in fact, to Bart Bowen of Team Saturn. And the rest of the race is now in some state of disarray, and you can see it here. And they're trying now to organize the chase. Now, Lance Armstrong out front. He may have gone too soon because there seems to me today to be a lot of riders very $25,000 first prize. We'll take a short break.
Once upon a time, a Volvo 850 Turbo meets a BMW 325i, and the BMW says, I have 189 horsepower. And the Volvo says, that's nice, I have 222. I can do 0 to 60 in 7.8 seconds. And the Volvo says, I can do it in 6.3. So the BMW says, I'm the ultimate. And the Volvo says, really?
See your Philadelphia area Volvo dealers soon. And please, drive safely.
Crisp, clean, less sweet, with a golden tint and a sparkling flavor. Canada Dry Ginger Ale. Out and out refreshment.
Enter to win an out-and-out getaway at Gennardi's, where Canada Dry 2 liters are on special.
You know us. We're Core States Bank. But you may not know about our new Core States check card. See? Looks like a credit card. But it's not, because it works like a check, only easier. The amount you spend wherever you see a Visa sign is automatically deducted from your checking account. So there's no bill at the end of the month. Ever. Is that easy or what? Sign up for your Core States check card today. Oh, I forgot. The card that works like a check, only easier.
The Chevy Lumina minivan, more are sold here than anywhere else in America. Why? Driver's side airbag, four-wheel ABS brakes, dent-proof body panels, modular seating, and more. Right now, you can lease a Lumina minivan for $239 a month. Listen, test drive a Lumina minivan. If you buy a Ford Windstar or a Chrysler minivan, we'll give you $50. No catch, no gimmicks, $50. Get a Lumina minivan for $239 a month at your local Chevy Geo dealers today. Hey, we dare you to compare.
Bike Line, the nation's largest chain of specialty bicycle stores with over 50 locations, is also the nation's largest Trek dealer. Bike Line features the entire line of Trek bicycles, including kids' bikes, cross bikes, racing bikes, and a hot new mountain bike. Bike Line carries a full line of clothing and accessories and offers expert repairs on all makes of bikes. So stop by any one of Bike Line's tri-state locations today. Bike Line, setting the pace for fitness.
Channel 10's live coverage of the Core States Championship is sponsored by your local Chevrolet Geo dealers and by Bike Line. Bike Line, setting the pace for fitness.
Tell you what, I see these guys down here on our course.
Welcome back to the Core States US Professional Cycling Championship, and this is the lone leader now, Lance Armstrong, with approximately 16 miles left to go to the finish. So there we have Lance Armstrong out in the lead, and the gap is around about 15 seconds. It was on Bart Bowen, and I'm not too sure if that's still the situation, but I think it is. Anyway, let's join Davis Finney out on the course.
I'm with the second-place rider now, and what has happened is that Norm Alvis has been the man for Saturn who made the move after the hill to come back up, but he's riding with the Italian Di Pasquale, and Di Pasquale is refusing to do any work. Norm is catching, he's holding Lance steady, but he's gesturing frantically at Di Pasquale to do some work, and he will not pull through. Now he's just finally come through for the very first time, with the group behind is clearly not having all the motivation to chase, and this is good for Lance in a way because it has taken Saturn out of the picture as the team force behind. But Lance has just started up the second to last hill, and he's taken another 5 seconds out of this group, as well as holding about 30-some seconds on the pack.
And so the rider we saw, in fact, being caught by those two riders wasn't Lance Armstrong, everybody. It was a rider who has now been lapped, so he's dropped behind by one complete lap in this race. That is how quick it has been, and the sun has come out warm and hot now. And for a man that comes from Texas, the Lone Star State, I would think he'll feel happy about that, John.
He certainly seems happy, and his legs are showing the result of that, because he's now got 25 seconds lead on Alvis and Di Pasquale of Italy, and a good 15 seconds more on the chase group behind. 25 seconds total behind the chase group. He's not faltering. He's not gaining that much. Inch by inch, he's gaining. He went from 15 to 20 to 25 seconds on the chase group. If Lance Armstrong can hold off this group, this will be, in my opinion, the greatest race of his career. It's a better race than when he won the $1 million here. The $1 million, he had 4 riders with him till the last lap on the Manayunk wall, and he dropped those 4 riders. Here, it's 1 man versus 20 chasers, and he's holding them off. Absolutely fantastic ride. Also a wonderful ride by this man who has not won a lot, Norm Alvis, number 21, but who has been a marvelous performer the entire year for the Saturn team, a leader, a strong man, a real great example of what a team rider should be. And Norm Alvis is flat out riding one of the rides of his life as well, a former Motorola rider and teammate of Lance Armstrong.
That's right, he was. He's got his sights set on selection for the Olympic Games next year. Now, I think, in fact, Norm Alvis is going just a little bit too hard for Maurizio Di Pasquale, because he can't come through. And in fact, just off our camera, I've seen a wheel. I think there may be reinforcements arriving anyway. And that's why Norm Alvis has now dropped back, and Pasquale has decided to continue on this race. Well, that's a strange decision, because really, you need a small group, I think, now to bring back the locomotive Lance Armstrong. And that's really going to take some doing. But Di Pasquale is getting himself into his rhythm. Very often riders who find they falter when they try to share the pace with somebody. Once they get away on their own, they settle into their own rhythm. They find their own level. They settle their heart down, and they can hold their own pace. And this man has always been an artist at holding his own pace, because Lance Armstrong has become, over this last few weeks, a specialist of the lone attack. Don't forget, no rider has ever won 2 Core States championships. Now, as John Eustace just told us, the last time Lance Armstrong did this a couple of years back, it was the 3rd counting event, which gave him $1 million check. Well, this time I think, well, I know there'll be no $1 million at the end, but in fact, the win would be equally as sweet. It would confirm Lance Armstrong is now settling in as one of the world's best pros. Now, Alvis and De Pascali have been caught, and this they've been joined, in fact, by Clark Sheehan. That was the rider who was just peeping into our picture, Clark Sheehan from Montgomery Bells. And there is a 4th man here, and it's a Walton, in fact, Brian Walton from Team Saturn, who's got the wheel of his teammate Norm Alvis. 4 good riders if they put themselves on to operate now, John.
They have to work together, especially 2 Saturn riders. They have nothing to do but put their heads down and go. Clark Sheehan, a wonderful story, came back from a near-fatal accident in the Tour of Mexico. He was hit by a truck in a race. A truck got on the race course, was in horrible condition, came back, won a huge race this spring, and now back in front at the end of the United States National Championship. A wonderful man, a wonderful return to form by Clark Sheehan. Tom Schuler's got something to tell us about the Saturn team tactics. Tom, what's going on? Tom, can you hear us? Tom Schuler having some transmission problems, but I'm sure he'll get back to us. Right now, nothing to do. There's a man in front going what appears to these riders to be close to 80 miles an hour, although it's really reality, probably around 30. 4 men against 1. Whether they can close the gap on him or even hold the gap, we'll have to wait until have some time checks to see. Safe to say that the race is in desperation. There's no strange tactic to think of. All you have to do is catch Lance Armstrong, because he's going, and he's not going to slow down.
And this stretch of the course, he's picked up the tailwind now, and Lance Armstrong will pedal his biggest gears as he can. He's completing, remember, his final circuit of the Manayunk Wall. Once he gets down the Ben Franklin Parkway, then he'll be going out and leaving that behind him for the first of 3 3-mile circuits of Lemon Hill. And it's just about where he is now, Lemon Hill, and he's got 4 more, well, this is including this climb, 4 climbs to come before the finish. The crowd are going to be delighted now when they see the American in the lead to win the race, which also automatically gives him the United States Championship for the 2nd time, and he'll become the 1st man to do that since John Eustace, in fact, did it, but it wasn't during the Core States in the days of John Eustace, when he won the United States Championships.
It's in the Stone Age, Phil.
No, I wouldn't say that, John. I was being very kind to you there.
Thank you very much. He has got the latest time check, Phil Liggett. It's got 40 seconds lead on the 4 chasers. Lance Armstrong is some strong bike rider. He's taking time out of 4 men chasing him. Tom Schuler can tell us about it. Tom, what's the situation with your Saturn team right now?
Well, it's for us because we've got 2 guys chasing Lance Armstrong. There's 2 Saturn team members, Brian Walton and Norm Alvis, and at this moment I'm in our team car on the way up to look at Brian and Norm, and after I get up there I'll be able to assess how it looks. Obviously Lance is pretty strong, and we've got 2 of our favorites from the Saturn team up in the front, so we're feeling pretty good right now.
Well, they're all actually working, and this breakaway has got away very quickly after Lance, and the gap at the moment, Tom, is 34 seconds. Do you think in your heart that they can wind him in?
Well, the last time check I heard was 45, so possibly the 4 are able to work together to bring back Lance, and that would be an exciting race. We want to make it not so elementary. I think it'll be good for us. Once again, as the block coming,
well, it's certainly looking.
Number 11.
Yeah, Tom, I say it's certainly looking as though the gap is coming down, and Lance Armstrong may not be giving his head like he has been in the last few races in the United States.
I see there seems to be a reason that Lance Armstrong is holding steady, and that is, of the 4 men, only 2 of them are working at the front. You saw Brian Walton wiggle his elbow, go to the back, and he was left a hole in the 4-man group by Di Pasquale of Italy. He slipped in behind his teammate Norm Alvis. And look, Norm Alvis, there's some disarray in the breakaway group. Norm Alvis is out on his own. There's some infighting going on. The Italian and Clark Sheehan only want the two Saturn riders to work. The Saturn riders want the others to share the lead, and behind them, in front of them, Lance Armstrong enters the tremendous cheers on the Benjamin Franklin Parkway. David Spinney, what's going on out there?
Well, I tell you what, Lance Armstrong has taken off, and he just keeps increasing his lead. Now, when he won this race 2 years ago, I was in the event with Coors Light. We had our entire team at the front, and trying to chase him back after the last lap, we could take no time out of him with 5 riders. So Tom Schuler perhaps is in a strong position, but Lance Armstrong, by our clock, is going 37 miles an hour straight down this parkway, and I don't see it happening. They have to be tremendously strong and cohesive to get Lance Armstrong, and he is just rolling away second by second by second.
Well, at the moment, Davis, we've just timed the break past our commentary position here, which, as you can see on the television, is completely in disarray. Norm Alvis is the rider on the left, and this here is Di Pasquale, but Brian Walton is the man causing the pain to this 4-man chase group, and the gap is 36 seconds, so Lance is not going clear at the moment, and I agree with you, when he went past our commentary position, he was absolutely flying. You could feel the wind from him as he went through, and the crowd, of course, were cheering him on. So let's have a look down now. We might be able to see there's the group. We've just seen Lance go through on the left, and this is the chasing group. They've reorganized themselves. This is far from over, John.
Far from over indeed, and the disarray that you saw when you saw gaps in between those groups has done nothing but help this man in front, the powerful man, the most powerful man we've seen since Greg LeMond, Lance Armstrong, world champion at 21 years old, back here in Philadelphia to do honor to the race, the Course A Championship, on his way to making an all-out attempt to take the Stars and Stripes. Lance Armstrong wants to be the American champion. He loves to race in the Stars and Stripes jersey. He was happier as the national champion than as the world champion. He loves representing the United States as a true Texan, patriotic guy, and here he is flat out on his way to win it, but it's far from over. It is far from over because there are still 3 laps of the small circuit just to finish, and he chases behind and a field behind him, and anything can still happen in this race.
Tremendous cheers for Armstrong, because everybody loves an attacker, a rider who gambles. He's gambled very, very early today because this has been a race with fighters in it. Fighters who have refused to give in to Lance Armstrong, who, despite the fact he came out as a big favourite today. That was Norm Alvis taking another drinking bottle from the car, now facing up to 3-mile laps of Lemon Hill before they finally finish. 9 miles left to go. And there is Armstrong. The gap is coming down. They've snicked a second off it. They are now 35 seconds behind Lance Armstrong. The break and the chasers are pedaling at exactly the same speed. We'll take a break.
Trade in my Honda. Never. I love this car. Best car I've ever owned.
Best car we've ever had.
We'd never trade. Sorry.
Love this car. Sorry,
Not
no
gonna
deal. Look at it. It's perfect. It's in great shape.
Recently, all these Honda owners did something they vowed they'd never do. They traded in their old Hondas, except for the Craigs.
No.
So while everyone else has a new Honda, the Craigs now have 2. The 1995 Accord. If you think your old Honda is worth a lot to you, wait until you see what it's worth to your Honda dealer.
They were innocent and unpretentious, those early places. Some were famous, some were not, and some we'll never forget. But down on Broad, by where the new legends live, they're building a new place for the Flyers and Sixers, with steel and stone and memories and a lot of hometown pride. And we're proud to say our name will be on it, because this has always been our hometown, too.
You ready?
Al, ball player at 9 o'clock.
Oh, well, rookie. First time at bat.
How do you play the daily number?
Rookie, Al, you called it. Al, Big Al. Al the man. Al the king.
Let's see. Box it. I'm feeling lucky tonight.
Oh, lucky. He considers himself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
The Pennsylvania Lottery's daily number. Play it pair, box, or play it straight.
With more shoulder room, more hip room, and more cargo room than a Ford Ranger or Chevy S10, you could say Dodge Dakota is the perfect size for a truck. And when you can get things like air, cast aluminum wheels, and more for as low as $11,286, you could also say this Dakota 4-cylinder is the perfect size truck for your budget. Dodge Dakota. At America's Truck Stop. your friendly Dodge dealer.
And welcome back to the closing stages now. Just about 8 miles remaining. 2 3/4 laps of the 3-mile circuit, and Lance Armstrong is hovering out front. He is officially 35 seconds in the lead, and he has been in that position now for the last 4 or 5 miles. So the riders behind are Maurizio De Pascali of Italy, Norm Alvis of the United States, Brian Walton of Canada, but Norm Alvis and Walton are on the same team, Team Saturn, and Clark Sheehan. They are the boys chasing, and I said it before, John, but I'll say it again, that this race is over.
It is not over. This is a pursuit match between the Saturn team and the Motorola team for the moment. Saturn absolutely has to close this gap on Armstrong. There's a chance he can falter. You never know. He's a man. He's not a machine. He might possibly crack. Oh, I doubt it. The form he's got, the victory that he smells in front of him, somehow, some way, these horsemen back are really going to have to get their act together and accelerate and catch him. But the speed he's going, the power, that's an uphill he's on right now, ladies and gentlemen. The speed he's going is just mind-blowing, how fast he's going. And it's just going to take a lot of effort on those in back. Do they have it in their legs? That's the question. 33 seconds, he's holding it. He's lost 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, either way. That doesn't mean a lot. He's holding the chase against Norm Alvis. Rod, you cannot hurt any more than Norm Alvis is hurting right now. Look at his hands, Phil. That's a special handlebar that gives a position similar to a downhill skier, a more aerodynamic position. He's using every trick in the book to catch this Lance Armstrong. De Pasquale, is he working? We'll take a look. A key to this breakaway catching Lance Armstrong is that De Pasquale and Sheehan share the workload with the Saturn. If they don't, I think their efforts are doomed. They're racing for second place.
The fact that Lance Armstrong is not pulling away is an indicator to me that this race will go right down to the line, because they're now 33 seconds behind. The first 9 laps they averaged a very, very fast speed indeed, and that might have taken it out of Lance Armstrong. Now we're back onto the parkway again, coming towards the end of lap number 1. So Davis, how do you assess it? Davis Finney, we're back on the parkway. How do you assess this opening small circuit?
I'm following the 2nd through 5th place riders, and what you see is Brian Walton just driving his shoulders, flailing everything he can to try to get Armstrong, and Armstrong is in sight in front of them. They seem to be coming closer, but what I saw Norm Alvis do just a minute ago was try to get De Pasquale to work. He tried to go behind him, tried to force him to close the gap, and De Pasquale just sat up, forcing Norm Alvis to close that gap, costing him more energy. I think there's just a desperate struggle with these 3 riders to keep going, and Norm Alvis just gave Clark Sheehan a tap on the back. It's down to 20 seconds right now at the moment. So these 3 riders who, Phil, we've seen ride so well this spring, all Clark Sheehan, Norm Alvis, and Brian Walton have ridden very, very well, and they've got Lance in their sights, which is a terrific comeback by these 3. But whether they have it in their legs to close the gap, that's what remains to be seen.
Well, I'll tell you what, Davis, it is agonizingly close, because the official time check just coming through is now 12 seconds. So Lance Armstrong is being reeled in, so be it, desperately slowly. But we can see from our helicopter the gap in reality, and it's been done thanks to the hard work of Norm Alvis and Brian Walton. De Pasquale and Clark Sheehan have been a little bit handicapped. I don't think that Sheehan's been too willing to help Team Saturn in the chase back. But as we look at the picture, John, I think Armstrong, a wise decision, is going to wait for them.
He has no choice. His lead is slow, is being eaten into. He does not want to get hung out there. Sometimes if you're chasing someone, you'll let them hang, let them exhaust themselves, or they're by themselves while the rider's by himself in front of you, and then catch him in a more tired condition. He's going to come back and fight it out with these 4 men for the victory. The man in the best position right now is the Italian De Pasquale. Now, is he fresh? Does he have legs? We don't know. But he has not lifted a finger to help this chase. Lance Armstrong has been caught by the breakaway group. Counterattack by Brian Walton. No, that's Norm Alvis. Counterattack right through. Lance Armstrong forced into the chase. The Saturn team playing the cards, playing aggressively. This is a fantastic race. This is a professional race. They went slow in the beginning and faster and faster and faster as they got to the end of the race. And now everything's in full blast. Riders all over the place. Walton has to do nothing but to let Armstrong, De Pasquale, and Sheehan catch his teammate. De Pasquale making a move.
A fake one, but it was a dummy.
But
a tremendous race now, because Armstrong, a second ago, was the attacker. Now he is on the defensive and confused because there's no one here to help him. If he waits long, Norm Alvis will take this title, and the fact that no one has ever won it twice is going to stay with us yet again, because Alvis, very much an American and very much a rider who, in my money, this year has ridden so well. And in fact, he was on Motorola's team. Now, Davis Phinney, you are telling me not very long ago about how nobody could bring Lance Armstrong back.
Norm Alvis has just made the tremendous move. He made it at the perfect time. The moment that they caught Lance Armstrong, bang, Norm Alvis went. And I think Lance Armstrong is fried. And what's happened with these four riders, they're all looking back. They're spread flat across the road. No one is chasing Norm Alvis. He has just made what could very well be the winning move, and he is riding right out of their sight right now, and all they're doing is looking back.
Well, we're looking at a man who's made no secret of the fact that he wants to ride in the Olympic Games, because when the Olympic Games go to Atlanta, Georgia next year, it is open for the first time in the Games history to professional riders. And so Norm Alvis, towards the end of what has been an excellent career, is going to keep his form at least for one more year. And this is going to really take him to the top of the notebook of the selectors, because this is a formidable ride. He now has 8 seconds lead. He is approximately 5 miles from the finish. He's got one more pass through the start-finish line. And poor old Maurizio De Pasquale is now left with, as Davis Phinney has said, a very tired Lance Armstrong indeed. Lance has no longer any friends in this race now. As back onto Lemon Hill now, we will go back to Davis, who I think is near Lance Armstrong.
It's been an interesting turnaround here. Now Lance Armstrong has finally taken up the pace, and guess who's helping him? The Italian Di Pasquale. The man who has sat at the back of this group for the entire last lap is now going to the front, and the two riders resting are Brian Walton and Clark Sheehan. They've earned their rest, but I think Lance has just made the complete wrong move by waiting for that group to come back up, and now he's put in the position to chase. So it is just amazing how quickly in this sport things turn around. But he's getting no help except for Di Pasquale, and Di Pasquale is not that effective at the moment.
And I'll tell you what too, Davis, Brian Walton is in a happy situation because he's a Canadian, therefore he wouldn't qualify for the American Championship. Mind you, if he won the race, he would very certainly qualify for the $25,000 first prize. He is the teammate of this rider, Norm Alvis. He's sitting there at the back now. His job is an easy one. He can sit at the back of the bus and watch all the passengers do all of the work. Because if they bring back Norm Alvis, I'm quite sure that Brian Walton will launch an attack, and they'll be chasing yet another man from Team Saturn.
What a tremendous event for Team Saturn. They have been on the verge of a success the entire year. They don't have the results that they deserve. They were so strong in the Kmart Classic of West Virginia, taking the yellow jersey, winning a stage with Bart Bowen, but always just not quite. And today it looks as though it's all gelling, coming together. They're riding a brilliant race, chasing down the world champion. Look at Lance Armstrong being forced to do all the work as Clark Sheehan attacks on the wheels. Lance is like a beaten bull in a Spanish bull ring. He's had everything put at him. He's fought with all his heart and soul, but now they've all ganged up. He's forced his hand too much, and he looks tired. It's a rare thing to see a tired Lance Armstrong. Brian Walton in the back, nothing to do. If they do catch Norm Alvis in front somehow, it will be up to Brian Walton to make the counterattack as Norm Alvis did and go for a solo victory. Di Pasquale, he looked to be in the perfect tactical position because he had been sitting on the wheels in the slipstreams of the others while they did the work to catch Lance Armstrong. But now he's showing his weakness. He is tired as well. He doesn't have that reserve of strength that the Saturn team does. Sheehan now desperately riding, hoping to carry on, maybe not even to catch Norm Alvis, but maybe just to finish in the top 3 of this bicycle race. Alvis, 25 seconds lead on the chasers. He is increasing his lead. These three had better get it together very quickly. Otherwise, this race looks like it's going to the Saturn team, and so well-deserved it will be.
Well, they're back down the parkway, and then they're going to hear the bell, and that's going to be music in the ears of Norm Alvis. I think Lance Armstrong will be very disappointed the way it's gone for him so far. He's tried so much to win this race job, but it hasn't gone well.
It hasn't gone well, and that's the beauty of cycling, or the pain of cycling, or the terrible part of cycling, if you will. Cycling is different than a marathon. It's different than swimming. If you're the strongest swimmer, if you have the fastest time, if you're the fastest marathoner, you will probably win your event. You can be the strongest cyclist, and if you don't play your cards right, if you don't have the gamemanship, you might not win the race, and today is a perfect example of that. And Davis Phinney can tell us more about the gamemanship and how it has affected today's race. Davis.
I tell you what, The fact that Norm Alvis is out front is really a testament to two things, both his strength and the acumen of team director Tom Schuler. As you well remember, Tom Schuler won this race, and he probably would have won it twice, except he pulled his foot out of the shoe, and Eric Heiden went on and won. Well, Tom knows this race extremely well, and he has prepared his team perfectly for this event. Motorola may just have peaked too soon and may just have played their hand too early, but Tom Schuler really deserves as much of the credit as Norm Alvis does for making this move and timing this race so well for their Saturn team.
Well, I tell you, we could be looking at what has been a dream day for Team Saturn. Let's not forget they won the women's race this morning. It's the richest women's race in the world with a $5,500 first prize. That went to Clara Hughes of Team Saturn. She's a Canadian on the team, and now we're seeing Team Saturn possibly round off with a $25,000 first prize and the US title as well. There's going to be a big party in the Saturn Hotel tonight, and that is for sure. Now, Norm Alvis finished 9th in 1994, and that's his best ever finish in this race. And it looks now, as he hears the bell, music in his ears, there must be a little bit of a tingle down his back there to think just one more lap. A mere 3 miles at the end of 153. Now, look, Tom, I don't want to... I've got Tom Schuler on the line now, who's had a first and a second in this championship. He knows what it's all about. But, Tom, you must be feeling pretty excited right now.
Phil, I didn't hear the question, but all I can say is Norm Alvis deserves this. He's been a real leader for the Saturn team, and this race, but no one's going to be happier besides Norm, of course, than the rest of the Saturn teammates.
Well, Tom, the line is a little bit bad, but I got the gist of what you said, but I think a lot of the victory for the Saturn riders is down to your fine guidance, because you've been a great bike rider yourself. And now Norm Alvis, to me, has been one of the world's great triers. He was on Team Motorola last year, by the way. He lost his place on that team. Tom Schuler picked him up, but there is Linda Armstrong there, knowing now, in fact, that Lance Armstrong is probably not going to win the US title for the second time. But here we have the 4 chasers. Armstrong is still working hard, and we'll rejoin our man on the motorbike, Davis Finney.
Well, these riders are starting to settle in and work a little bit better together. Of course, Lance setting the initiative, but Norm is just riding away. And Phil, you made the point that Norm Alvis rode for Motorola. Well, more than that, Norm Alvis toiled really in the service of others for the last 5 years as a professional, really invisible in Europe. And now this is the first opportunity he has really had this year with the Saturn team to shine, and he is making the most of it. And, you know, I asked Norm Alvis, what was the best accomplishment and what was his desire and drive coming from? And he said, my son who was born last year.
Well, that's tremendous, and now he's got it all to do for just 2 miles, and then the championship will be his, and it'll be like a fairy tale for him, because so many times today this race seemed to have run its course. Lance Armstrong did everything right, he got the lead, but he simply didn't have the firepower to push it home. More than that, I think it was, in fact, the riders behind who simply refused to give up, and the man who might answer that for me, Jim Okovich from Team Motorola. Jim, the riders behind just never allowed Lance to have his escape today.
No, well, I think he was there for a while, and he just didn't get enough of a gap to really hang on to it. And I just think that also when we lost Bauer there the last time up Manayunk in that crash, Bauer would have been there to cover the Walton Bridge across, and that would have made a difference here too.
Well, we're getting a word now, Jim. It's 45 seconds. Do you think that's enough for Alvis to take the title?
Well, it's a long 45 seconds with 3-4 kilometers, a long ways to close, and Lance isn't getting a lot of help up here to try to do that.
Now, Jim, Norm Alvis was on your team, and he lost his place on your team last year, so you do know this rider very well. Will you bear him any grudges if he wins the title?
Absolutely none.
Because you know him well.
Because I know him well, and he's a very good young man.
And what about the team? Will they congratulate him too?
Absolutely. Tom's a good friend of mine.
That's good to hear, Jim. But this has been a great race today. Would you agree with that?
It's been a very good race. Course States is always one of the top events in our calendar during the year, and it's America's premier one-day race.
Jim, it's been great to have you on the show today and give us a little bit of insight into the racing. I know you've got a TV in the car, so carry on looking at the TV. And even if it's not Motorola, well, it was a rider you once employed who will take the title.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks a lot, mate. Now we're back with the former Motorola rider, now on Team Saturn, which is a team managed by Tom Schuler, who has won this race before and finished second in it. And now I would think that Tom is beside himself with excitement, John.
He certainly must be, because he has been so close to winning this race for so many years with Brian Walton and other members of his team. And it's so hard to win a professional race, to put it all together. The Saturn team, as we said before, has been very close the entire year, just quite almost. The one team that really seemed to have the courage to attack the Motorola team on a regular basis. And while today, at one point, it seemed as though the race was over, it would have been easy for the riders to say, oh, there's Armstrong in front, the race is over, no way we can catch. But they caught him. They believed, they kept going, and look what happened. Lance Armstrong showed that he was human, and they were able to change the cards around. And look now, the disarray in the field, in the chase group.
Because Walton has attacked, because he sent everybody was stopping, and in fact it was Di Pasquale who tried his luck there, because they've completely gone to pieces in this group. There's nobody willing to work now. They're going to, if they're not careful, they will lose the gap. But we're going to go now with the leader down the parkway. There's the police on the right, and again, such a marvellous job for the safety of this race. But we're on the parkway now, and he's about a half a mile to go for Norm Alvis.
Look at the profile. Look how his shoulders are so close together, and his hands, how aerodynamic he is with his new special handlebars. He has his Scott handlebars on the front of his bike. This could be a very good reason that he's able to go so fast, or is the special aerodynamic aid he has, how his hands are together like a downhill skier. They say this is worth a mile an hour, 2 miles an hour. And